Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Braggers Creations. Thank you very much for joining me. It has been quite some time since my last live stream, and for that I do apologise. I spent all of last week, well, the weekend before something was happening, I can't remember, and then last weekend I spent all weekend recording a video on building a kit. I'd like to do these more generic soldering videos rather than the Mac specific stuff from time to time, mainly because I get lots of viewers and subscribers from those sorts of videos. And given the fact that I just ticked over 18,000 subscribers last night, I would like to say a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed and those who do like to join me for these live streams or watch my silly videos. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Are you doing another 300? Yes, I am. The only difference with this 300 is that it is in an external case. So we are going to possibly have some power supply stuff to deal with, as well as the normal capacitor leakage on the board. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, I'm referring to the CD-ROM drive that is featured in the little picture of my thumbnail, assuming you saw the thumbnail. It is a Caddy loading CD-ROM drive. They do have surface mount electrolytic capacitors in them, and they do leak, and I do have to recap a lot of them. It really is just nostalgia. That's the only reason to go and restore these. Let's face it, there are better CD-ROM drives you can grab and you can put in your device. But in particular, if you've got an old computer, maybe like a 2VX or something like that, you may well have the bezel on the front for a Caddy loading CD-ROM drive. And so under those circumstances, unless you can get yourself another bezel, you're going to want to have that CD-ROM drive working, even if it is a crappy Caddy loading one. So Caddies, of course, looking like this. That's a Caddy. It's a kind of bit of a broken Caddy, a little bit of a dirty broken Caddy, but it is a Caddy nonetheless. I'm going to just quickly shout out and say hello to folks. Garth Beagle, thank you. GT, hello. Adam McGee. I chatted as well. Hello, Bruce. Toby Q. Shuddy Robot. Jay is here. Joe Williams. Okay, let me just have a look here and see if there isn't anything important that I'm missing here. Recap to 300 after... learning about the 300 had some... Yep, okay, that is good. I'm very pleased to hear that you're doing that. Okay. Right, okay, so... anyhow, that is what we're going to be doing today. Now, this particular CD-ROM drive has copped a little bit of the elements, so I'm not sure what we're going to find inside. David Mozart Andrews, hello. Greetings from Sweden. Hello, greetings from Sydney. Sydney, sorry. The reason why we sometimes say Sydney here is back in the year, it was the late 90s, I guess, when Sydney was going for the Olympics. We were sort of, in the running for the Sydney Olympics in the year 2000, which we did actually win. As in we held the Olympics in the year 2000. And when the announcement was made, the winner is, the guy didn't really pronounce Sydney very well. So it's become a little bit of a running joke out here that we sometimes call Sydney or Cindy or something like that. Steve, thank you for joining. I hope Mike got off okay, or is he still there with you? I imagine at this stage he's probably on his way home, but I just wanted to check for those who may not have caught it. Steve did a live stream this morning my time, probably middle of the day there, and Mike was there. Mike was special guesting. He travelled the miles to go and hang out in Steve's basement, and that's not a euphemism. That was quite literal. A few minutes, yeah, okay, left a few minutes ago. Cool bananas. So, they did a live stream. They played around with an IBM, and then a little bit of tinkering with a, 6116 or something that I think that was the computer that you had there from memory. One of Mike's favorite computers. Mike is a big fan of the original 601 PowerPC chip. There's nothing but rave about it. Who have I missed? Patrick Pitts, hello. Nick Y, hello. Okay, love the t-shirt. Thank you very much. So this is Buffalo Bill's body lotion. I have worn this one before. I do quite like this shirt. It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again. Which, of course, has just become, part of people's vernacular these days. rubs the lotion on its skin, or else get the hose again. Okay, so without further ado, I am going to grab this. I'm going to have to move this so that I'm going to change views here to a bit of a top view going on here. And here we can see, here is the CD-ROM drive. Now, that's the front of the CD-ROM drive there. I mean, it is a long sucker. Look at this thing, look at it. By gum. So we have the front of the CD here with a little Apple logo. This is a Gen 1 Apple. We've got here Apple CD-300, zippity-doo-dah. And then we have our two, what are they? They call them Centronics or whatever they call them. These 50-pin SCSI thingies. And we've got our audio out because you could actually use it as an audio CD player. You could put an audio CD in there, bring up the audio, so the CD control panel thingy in the system, play your music, and it would come out these audio thingamajiggies here. We've got our power switch. We've got a little grounding thing here, so we can ground it. I guess that's probably for sound interference or something like that. So that we don't get crackles and stuff out of the audio. And of course we've got a little SCSI selector switch there so that we can choose which SCSI ID we are on. One of the really interesting things, well, not really interesting, one of the things about SCSI devices generally is a lot of the time when people do a little bit of DIY with external SCSI cases, they stick a hard drive in or something like that. Oh, I got a super chat from House of Moth. By gum, look at that. See, I know it's a real one, okay? Thank you very much, Jay. He says, hi, if we pay for the privilege. Okay. I said hello to you, Jay. Did I miss someone else? Oh, Eric's here. Hello, Eric. Thank you for joining. What's that noise? Oh, wow. Sounds like the fan on my... Yeah, it's the fan on my little Mac Mini. I have my little Mac Mini mounted under the table now with a little 3D printed bracket, and I'm very happy with it. It's very cute, and I have a little bit more leg room here now because I don't have the big clunky Mac Pro there anymore. So yeah, so when people did a little bit of DIYing with their external SCSI cases, and they might stick their own hard drive in, a lot of the time they never bothered to wire these things up. They just hard-wired them to a particular SCSI ID, and so these things didn't work. But I am assuming that with this one here being a genuine Apple, that's all going to be wired up, all going to be working. I'm not going to put any power on into this yet. We're going to have a look at it first, and hopefully then we can power it up a little bit later on. So, I did say hello to you, GT. What the hell, man? Right at the beginning. I went down the list, right down the top. You were second there, and I said hello to you. He's not even listening. He's not even listening. He's here, but he's not even listening. Should be just talking to myself. What dark corner did I drag this out of, Benjamin? That is a very good question. This was... Okay, it's going to need some cleaning. I accept that. I will concede that it will need some cleaning, but I'm hoping it will come up all right. This has spent a little bit of time, I think, in a garage, in a box. So, yeah, an open box. So, it'll be interesting. I'm fairly confident we'll be able to get it working. I mean, you know, it might be a lump of rust inside, but I'm hoping it's not. But we'll open it up in a second. We'll see what it's like. So, screwdriver. Okay. There we go. Oh, Patrick, hello. Thank you for joining. Okay. Now, we are going to undo these little screws on the side here. These will make the case slide off. And these screws underneath here are what's actually holding things into the case. So, Sam Johnson, hello. If I've missed anyone in terms of hellos, I do apologise. I feel like I've been getting everyone, but it's not personal if I didn't. So I just sometimes get a little bit carried away. What have we got here? We've got Christian Palco, I think. YouTube still hates notifying me. You haven't missed anything, I can tell you that. I really just said hello to everyone and talked a little bit about this drive, this Apple CD-300 drive. All of the meaty stuff is still about to happen. Yes, I do apologise with notifications. There's very little I can do about that. That's YouTube's algorithm doing its thing. I mean, in theory, if you've got the bell clicked, you're meant to get a notification when I go live, but, you know, it's not actually in my control. We've got another couple of screws here. We can definitely say this thing is well put together, as we would expect from an Apple product. We would expect this thing to be made well, even if some of the plastics on things die after a while, but that's another story. Oh, Canadian computer collector. How you doing, Dan? Thank you very much for joining. I think this might be the first time I've actually seen you on one of my streams. Maybe you've been there before, but you've been lurking. I got all inspired after looking at your video. Just a shout out to Canadian Computer Collector. Please jump and check out his channel. Give him a subscribe. It's well deserved. And he released a video, well, I think it was today. And because it's every Saturday you release a video, isn't it? Yes. And it's Sunday here, which means it's Saturday there. So yes. And he was cleaning up a G4 eMac, and it's very interesting. I have a very, very similar way of thinking to you, because I hate the eMac. No, that's not right. That's not true. They're not a bad computer in many ways, and I love that flat screen. It's a lovely, sharp flat screen, but they are so freaking heavy. And I had one years ago, and I gave it away because I just, no, don't want it. Too big, too bulky, takes up too much space. Then I recently got one for free with a bunch of stuff. I didn't really want it, but it had the swivel stand on the bottom. And if it's got the swivel stand, it's worth keeping, in my opinion. So anyhow, all right, let's see if we can get this this case off. I feel like I've undone all the screws, and it should actually release its grip, and it is. There we go. It's coming off. So big sucker, these things, aren't they? Right. Well, it actually looked quite nice inside. See how shiny that is? You can see my face in it? Yeah, you might be able to see my face in it. There we go. Hello, how are you today? Okay, so let's get that away. Right, so it's very neat and tidy. This is nice. I mean, we can see we've got the little audio. No, we can't because it's facing the wrong way. Let's put this around that way so you can see it. I'll start doing a little bit of action retro going on here. Oh, look at this. I've got a super chat from Patrick, which means he needs to be there. Bang, bang, bang. A huge optical drive. I've never seen one. That itself is the drive. It's a 5¼ inch drive. It's your standard CD-ROM size. But then we've got, rather than having the power supply running down the side, they've got the power supply sitting on the back. So the thing is very long. And it's interesting. It's from a design perspective, it does create a nice illusion. When you have it sitting at the computer or next to the computer, it actually looks quite compact. It's only when you pick it up and then look how long it is and what a big ass it has, that's when you actually really start to notice it. So once again, thank you, Patrick, for the super chat. I do appreciate that. Okay, so I'm just going to check some of these chat things because I have been missing. Sam, hello. Hello from Emily and Sam from Birmingham. That's Alabama, I assume. I think I know most of the 2-letter state abbreviations, but I don't know all of them given the fact that I'm from Australia. I can tell you all the Australian ones. Okay, so just got through cleaning a G3 floppy. It was nasty. Very nice and clean, yes. G3 floppy. Are you talking about like a USB one that you plug in externally, like a floppy drive external for a G3? Is that right? Is that right? Oh, cool! I got a thumbs down. I got the thumbs down person. There's someone that thumbs downs my videos sometimes, and it fills me with joy when I know the person has actually made all the trouble to come to my video and press a thumbs down. It's like, yeah, man, I must really get under that person's skin. I like my optical drives with big asses. Okay, so internal floppy in the beige, of course, yes. When I think G3, I just automatically start thinking of Bondi Blue and stuff like that, and iMacs and things. But of course, yes, I mean, we had the G3 desktop and the G3 tower. I actually have one of each. I'm very happy to have them in my collection. Yeah, they've got they're floppy drive. They were the last to have floppy drives, weren't they? When we progressed along to the Macs getting all colourful, see you later floppy drive. Wow, what a change that was. I remember living through that. Must recommend a video. Steve, Mac 84. He's got it in his channel. Steve, if you've got the link there, please drop it into that video. It's a fantastic video. It needs more looks and more likes and views and whatnot. It is a video that discusses what the impact of the iMacs and and Bondi Blue G3 towers coming out, because a few things happened with those. Firstly, one thing that happened was we lost SCSI. Another thing that happened was we lost ADB. Having said that, there was still an ADB port on the G3 tower, but we lost ADB essentially from then on. We also lost floppy drives. And so living through that, having been through that, professionally, when I was actually working with computers, with Macs at the time, I was working at a studio where we were all completely and totally Mac place. Okay, it's very easy to retrospectively say, yes, the floppies were on their way out, and ADB was on its way out, and SCSI was on its way out, taken over with, USB or FireWire or whatever the case is. But at the time, we still had so many devices, so many needs for a lot of that, that older stuff. I mean, we had dongles that plugged in via ADB. So, I mean, we were running this expensive software that needed the dongles plugged in. So we still needed ADB ports. So you end up going out and getting those little Griffin iMates, so you can plug in an ADB dongle onto a USB Mac. We were still getting floppies from people. Sometimes our clients would send us stuff on floppies, and sometimes software would come with a floppy installer. There was a version of Quark Express where you needed to put a floppy in to unlock the software. And so, there was still this need. And so out came this flurry of devices, obviously things like USB hubs, and we had, sort of USB to ADB, we had USB to SCSI, we had USB to, what's the other one? USB to everything. So anyhow, USB floppy drives. So anyhow, catch that video of Steve's. It's fantastic. He goes through a lot of that. He goes and explains a lot of the history that I just explained. So, okay. Right, where are we? I'm a mod, so I can abuse my linking power. Good. Okay, so what are we looking at? Okay, just checking to see. Right, all right, okay. So anyhow, as usual, I'm just yabbering on here. Quit your yabber! And I'm not getting anywhere, but we are going to need to, the first thing we're going to need to is take this guy out so that we can have a good old look at him. But as we can see, we've got the audio cables coming out here. That's come out to the little audio connectors there. We've got this little connector here, which is setting the SCSI ID. So it's nice that they're all connected up there. It's all beautiful. Interestingly enough, generally, it was the universally accepted thing back in the day. CD-ROM drives would typically be on SCSI ID 3. I don't know who decided it, but someone decided it, and so it was generally widely accepted. If you had a CD-ROM drive, you would expect it to be on ID 3. Okay, so let's unplug this little fella here. We'll undo these screws here, and we'll whip him out. Apple's Anonymous, hello, thank you for joining. Tom Barber, hello. It's not actually, oh no, it is still morning here. It's 20 past 11 a.m. It's not a bad day out here at the moment. Yesterday it was so cold and windy, and it was wind coming off the snow. It was freezing. But today it's a beautiful day today. Sun is out, birds are singing, children are dancing in the street. Well, they're not actually, because we're in lockdown here, but never mind. Okay. How'd you come? Okay, so there's that. Will I remember which way around that plug goes? Well, I guess I've got this video to refer to, don't I? This has to come out. Oh, God, I hate these things. Two of my least favourite connectors. One are Molex connectors, because sometimes they're just so stubborn to remove. And then the other is those Berg floppy connectors, you know the ones? Because they have a little clip that stops them from coming out, and if you can't get to the clip to release it, they're really hard to remove. But anyway, we're done. There's the power supply under there. We're going to have a look at that later on. I'm not necessarily going to go and recap that whole thing, but I do want to have a look. I want to check and see that we haven't got any bulging caps or anything really obvious sticking out. If I was going to be, you know, getting it ready for resale or getting it ready for do it for a customer, I'd recap that whole power supply. But it's not. It's mine, and I'm lazy. So there we go. So here we've got our little front panel thing here, and what's really cool about this is when you actually put a sorry Patrick, I'm going to move your little super chat thing here so I can get a little bit of screen real estate back. When you actually have a Caddy inside, it actually changes what I'll see if I can make it pop down. You get this little guy pops down in his place. Come here, you thing. I can't get it. You can't get it. Come on, man. Oh, piffle. Anyhow, when you put a Caddy in there, this goes down, and then a little plastic cover comes down that way, and actually says on the front, Caddy loaded, and it's really cool. I like it. It's a little sort of, you know, the cover's down there, but it actually says Caddy loaded. Nifty. I just like it. Right. Oh, I'll do this. I like SCSI. It's big and bulky, but it's sadly slow. Yeah, I mean, look, what we have to always remember, I mean, it's very easy for us in this day and age to criticise technology such as SCSI, but at the time it was actually very fast. You know, and it was one of the reasons why Apple chose it. It was a superior technology, and the fact that you could actually connect so many devices onto the chain. I mean, you could have 8 separate addresses, keeping in mind, of course, that one of those addresses was reserved for the controller. So, so that would mean you were limited to 7 devices you could attach onto the chain. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty amazing actually. I mean, big fan. Here we go. I'll be able to show you the thing now. I'll just disconnect this. Hatch come. There we go. I've just released. That was the little connector for this guy. This is the headphone socket and the volume control. So I've just disconnected that there. But, oh wow. Holy moly macaroni. This one's got caps on it as well. I haven't done one like this before. I'm probably going to have to replace those. What are those ones? Those are, oh, piffle. Oh, jeez, I need my glasses. I'm blind in my old age. 100 microfarad, 6.3 volt. That's fine. I've got plenty of those. Okay, so we are going to recap this little board here as well. So that's something fun. But anyhow, as I was mentioning before, when you put the disc in and this little thing comes down and says, Caddy loaded. Focus. Caddy loaded. Woo. Okay, so. And oh, and by the way, when you go to put these back together, you have to put this in the right way. Otherwise, that'll jam shut and you won't be able to get the Caddy in there. So it's a little bit of fiddling when you go to put that thing back on. It really sucks, by the way. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to take this panel off. And we're going to do that by undoing this screw here. See, the chat's just... oh, you know what I haven't done? So I've got here, would appear 39 people viewing. I don't know if that's accurate, but if it is, hello to everyone. Thank you for joining. And don't forget to
smash that like button.
Okay, so that's just a little bit of fun. You know that thing's getting a bit overused now. That thing turns up on Maciac videos now as well. So, dear oh dear. I should have copyrighted it, shouldn't I? Get $1 every time someone uses it. All right, so what do we got? This is coming up. You coming up? Yeah, he's coming up. Is there anything else? No, there we go. So he's just sort of held in with a couple of little clippy bits down the side here. So there's only 2 screws to get this cover off. And then this is the board we're going to be recapping. Yeah. And I'm going to whack it because it's mine. I wouldn't whack it if it was a customer's because I have respect for my customer's stuff. I even have respect for some of my stuff. Okay. Keep those discs nice and clean. Yeah, so I mean, I talked about, Oz Retrocom. Hello there, Tone. Thank you for joining very much. If there's anyone else here, Will. Is that Will? Will. I don't think I've said hello to you, so hello. And Devalis, I think. Yes, I am on Mac. That's fair enough. Yes, I am actually there. But I have to press the button. No one else is allowed to press the button. That's not entirely true. LMNO, thank you for joining. So yeah, look, if I'm missing stuff in the chat, I do apologise. It does start to go by fairly quick after a while, and then I miss things. So in order to get this board out, we've got to undo a few connectors down the side here. So these are these ones that have the little, get a sharp pair of tweezers here. They have these little plastic things. I need my glasses again. I'm getting old, you see. Yes. Okay, get this up here. Okay, and then that pops out. And then lift those up there. That pops out. Lift those up there. And that pops out. And of course, they're all going back in the same position, so it's pretty easy. And these plugs here need to come out. And once again, you can't put these in the wrong way. You can't get them mixed up, so that's all fine. Yeah, this actually looks quite nice inside. I'm pretty happy with that. It's actually quite well preserved inside. I don't see any significant corrosion on any of the metal or anything like that. One of these that I did actually do, and I've mentioned this before on one of my live streams. I apologise when I repeat myself, but I do it sometimes because sometimes different people watching. When I got one of these to recap from a customer, this part here, that's the lens on the top of the laser. The laser sits underneath it, and that's the lens there. This whole module here was melted. Now, I assume it was something to do with the capacitor leakage on these things, but it was an absolute mess. So there's no point in even bothering to recap it. I took the old caps off, but I didn't replace them. Keep it as a spare board if I have one that's damaged beyond repair. But, you know, it just sort of meant, I mean, there's just no point. I mean, the thing is an absolute mess. So, yeah, that was an interesting one. That one belonged to Madeline McAndrews, who you will have probably seen on the Mac-Yak show if you do watch it. If you don't watch the Mac-Yak show, where's you been, man? Okay, so it is on every my time Friday, but it's Thursday evening Eastern time. What is it? 8 p.m. I think. We get together and we chat about all things Apple and Mac, and we do our best to make it interesting and fun. If we are not succeeding at that, please don't let us know, because it will hurt our feelings. Okay. All right, just going through here, just making sure I haven't missed anything. This is really hard to read. This is white on kind of light grey. I wonder if there's a way I can make that text black. Preferences. Where are we? Appearance. Have we got something here for appearance? No. Nothing here for appearance. That's awesome. Never mind. I'm using some software here called Ecamm Live. There are a few things I like about Ecamm Live. GT, please feel free to put a link into the Mac-Yak channel for anyone who may or may not have seen it. Just going through. Oh, excuse me. So, just mentioning very quickly about the whole Caddy thing, in case you're someone who doesn't, it's like, what the hell is the story with Caddies? I've mentioned this before in some of my other recapping videos, but when CDs first came out, the idea was that we would store our CDs in these. So you would put you got a little label here, you would label what the CD was. So when you bought a CD, you know, they were expensive. CDs were expensive to buy back then, so you wanted to look after it. So you'd put it in one of these caddies and you put it up in the cupboard, and then you would use this and you'd swap the caddies out, you know, and you would have a caddy for the software. Now there was a real big problem with that, and that was that these caddies were so expensive. So people didn't buy one caddy per disc they owned. They just bought one caddy and swapped the discs in and out, which completely defeated the purpose of having a protective case. And then obviously eventually Wisdom won out, and they started using tray loading. What do they call them? Yeah, tray loading. That's it. Tray. And of course, we got slot loading after that. Carl GP, hello. Thank you for joining. Thank you for putting that link in GT. I'm just going to pop that up there for a minute. This is the link to the Mac Yak channel, I believe. I think it is, because I think that's what I asked for. And yeah, and so if you haven't subscribed or you haven't watched one, please jump on and watch. As I say, it's, you know, it's a bit of fun. So okay, all right. I'm going to jump across to the microscope view here, and we're going to see what the state of this board is, and I can already tell that I'm a little bit out of focus. Okay, here we go. So I can already tell that we have got the results of capacitor leakage. You can see the gunge going on here. You can see it's all crunchy and yuck, and we don't like it, and kind of discolored and stuff like that. If we have a look here, I'll zoom in and I'll try and focus. There we go. And if I do a bit of this, see that? Look at that. Oh my God. That's gross. So yeah, this is why this needs to be done. These have to be done. And of course, there is another really important thing. These Sony CD-ROM drives, the quality of this PCB is pretty poor. It's very different to work like when I work on the Macs. Those Mac logic boards, motherboards, whatever you want to call them, they're actually made quite well. These things are kind of made like rubbish. So yeah. So now I am a little bit on the cold side, so I'm going to switch on my heater here, and I'm going to try not to burn myself in the process. It is a little gas heater here. It's not one I would recommend for use inside a house, but I have very, very good ventilation where I am at the moment, and it's going to help warm me. You know, I have throughout the years, I've been using computers for a very long time. Throughout the years, I have made a number of computing predictions where I've sort of, you know, put my reputation on the line and said, this is what I think is going to happen in the future. And I made the now seemingly rather ridiculous statement some time ago that CD technology, burnable CD burners, I should say, CD burners aren't going to take off. People aren't going to waste money on media, you know, on sort of media that you can only write once. That magneto-optical technology was spawning, and we used to use a lot of magneto-optical technology at the company I worked for. We had little 128 megabyte magneto-optical discs, and we had 650 megabyte magneto-optical discs, and they were a huge part of you know, our sort of archiving and backup and all that sort of stuff. And my prediction was that technology was what was going to take off, this rewritable, this magneto-optical, rather than writing only once. It just made no sense to me that why on earth would that happen? Now, I was wrong. I was very wrong, because my goodness, CD burners and CD burning, wow, yeah, it took off. But in my defense, I didn't realize just how cheap a blank CD media was going to get. And it was kind of, you know, it's part of that, I guess, disposable world that we live in, you know, where you just, you know, it's cheap, so we can just use as many as we want. I mean, basically, people would burn something onto a CD. So I worked at a pre-press, you know, design place, and when people would send us jobs, they used to send them to us on zip disks or jazz disks or magneto-optical disks, and we would get the data off them, and then we'd send the disks back. And what ended up happening was people started sending us their stuff on CDs, and it would be like, yeah, just throw it away when it's done. You know, we'll send you the CD. Here's all the data you want. Print the job out, and then just chuck the CD away. And that's kind of what ended up happening. You know, I mean, the discs got so cheap, no one cared about getting them back, because these days we're all just using like USB sticks and stuff like that. No, don't tell me it's 3 a.m. I'm still using optical media quite a bit, but that's mainly because I'm into the whole vintage Mac scene. So I mean, I've been playing around with a G4 mirror drive door, and so obviously I've got all those the CDs. I burn things on CD for that. Okay, so we've got to get rid of these caps. This is my least favourite part of the job, removing these caps. What would be really good would be if I had some soldering tweezers, but I don't. And there's one main reason why I don't, and that is that the soldering tweezers that Hacko makes don't work with this FX951 soldering station, which pisses me off, because you can put soldering tweezers on one of their cheaper stations, and it's like, this is more expensive, and I can't use solder tweezers on it. You things, you. Oh, hello, Dana. Dana is moonlighting as House of Moth J. For those who aren't aware, Dana is actually at Jay's house at the moment. Should get you guys on as guests. Are you guys able to get in front of Skype? Then you can jump on and Matt and whatnot and things. Let me know if it's doable. If not, don't worry about it. So I need to get these caps off. I've got a plastic chip holder here, IC holder here, dip socket. I've got plastic little one of these chokes here, and I don't want to melt anything, so it's going to be interesting. I've actually got something interesting on the way. I've bought some adhesive aluminium or aluminum. I like a few more syllables in things. Aluminium adhesive tape that I'm actually going to try. I'm going to try that out, see if I can actually put things like that tape in between these slots, bend it down, stick it, and then melt things off. I was hoping it would have arrived by this weekend. It has not. It has been ordered and it is on its way, but it hasn't arrived yet. But it's making me actually think along the lines of I might be better off using a little bit of aluminum for this. If I can find it. Yep, it's down here behind the heater. Careful, I do not burn off my private parts while grabbing it. Oh, jeez. There's a slight smell of burning hair going on. Okay. I will make sure that foil doesn't end up down there again. Aluminium foil, or as tin foil as some people incorrectly call it, is quite a good heat insulator, so heat shield. And it's good that you can bend it into different shapes. So I'm going to give it a whirl for this. Jay is on a smoke break. I'll ask him when he comes back. Fair enough. Jay and I are trying to set up my X-Serve, but she is being a real biatch. So is that Jay being a real biatch or the X-Serve? Yeah, okay, well, that's a shame about the X-Serve, I must say. So let's go to top view. Sad Mac, have I said hello to you today? If not, hello, Sad Mac, thank you for joining. Sad Mac, one of the regulars. Generally, the stream hasn't started until Sad Mac arrives, as far as I'm concerned. That with Captain Tape works wonders. Yeah, I've got my old Captain Tape here. Captain, my Captain. And yeah, well, I'll see if I can. I just last one of these I did. I ended up with a little bit more melty than I like. And okay, so having a little bit of a chuckle there. Just at Dana's comment. All right, so I've done that, and I've coated the plastic with the aluminium foil. I'm now going to try and get this off. Now, another thing that regularly happens when I'm pulling these things apart is I accidentally remove components that I don't want to. So I'm going to probably turn the heat down, the air down on my hot air station so that it's not quite as forceful and doesn't blow things off the board. Let's jump across to the microscopy view. All things DG, hello. I don't think I said hello. I think have you just turned up? Hello. I have an X-Serve I've never tried to switch on. Which one is it? Because they came in didn't they come in G5 varieties and in Intel? I'm pretty sure the one that I used to work with was an Intel, but excuse me, shush. Okay, now is that where it's meant to be? Yeah, okay. Well, we can do no more. Well, actually we can, we'll do heaps more, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna now try and get these caps off. So I generally knock little, oh, you can't see. I generally knock these little resistors that you see on the left there. Let me just see if I can improve this focus. Focus! Oh, look at that liquid bubbling away. Oh, we've got a blower. She's about to blow, Captain. I can't give her any more. She's about to blow. No, I do not do a very good Scottish accent. But in my defence, neither did Jimmy Dillon. All right, is everything still in place? Then ask the question. Every single one of these I do now, these days, just looks bad. Oops, I melted the plastic a bit. Melted. Melted. Who's gonna know? No one. I won't tell anyone if you don't. Tell you what I am gonna do though, I'm gonna take that chip out. I should have taken it out before. Gives me a little bit more breathing room. Joe, thank you for joining. Scotty is my hero. Yeah. No man knows how to handle dilithium crystals the way Scotty does. Yes, it is a shame that James Dillon is no longer with us, and in actual fact, really when we're looking at the original crew, who have we got left? We've got Uhura and Kirk, I think. I think everyone else is gone. That's about it. Just gonna trim this. Jesus, ladies, old and yuck and terrible. Mr. McIntosh, hello. I don't think I said hello to you, so I'm saying hello now. Hello. Yep, the Shat Man is still with us. The Shats. Has anyone ever heard that album, The Transformed Man? I actually have it on CD. It's fantastic stuff. Mr. Tambourine Man. Mr. Tambourine Man. I think it's impressive that someone managed to talk him into doing that album. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. If you haven't heard it, look out for The Transformed Man. There's a CD that the Shats did. William Shatner made this CD. Someone talked him into it. And he recorded a whole bunch of popular tracks at the time, but instead of singing them, he spoke them. He turned it into a kind of an acting job, you know. Really gets into them. No, the Ben Folds thing came way later. The original Transformed Man came out in, I think, 80s, something like that. And then I think Ben Folds maybe stumbled across that and then got William Shatner to kind of reprise it and do it for another song with them. So yeah. And it's funny. It is funny. It is definitely funny. I'm not saying you're going to want to sit down and listen to the whole album. That's a little bit painful. But to listen to some of it is quite amusing. Someone might be able to confirm the date the Transformed Man came out. if someone wants to look it up. But ew, ew. I think the one on Transform Man that I like, JJ Brubaker, hello, thank you for joining. How's lockdown treating me? It's treating me pretty well, actually. Lockdown doesn't have a huge impact on my life because I work from home anyway. So, you know, it just means I can't go out to dinner with the missus. She works from home as well too, by the way. Has been working from home since beginning of 2020. So, we're all set up here with our little offices and computers and things and webcams, and this is about to blow up. This one's not coming off easy. Oh, anyway, it wasn't a full. Oh man, that stinks. You know what I can do to stop these things from blowing up? I can get my fancy little Dremel here and I can drill a hole in it. See if I can. There we go. Won't blow up now. Any gas will just come out the top now. Oh my god, the chat's going by so fast. $1968, is it really? Wow. It would make sense. The cover was certainly a 60s or 70s design. So yes, it would make sense that it would be that old. But yeah, I love the beginning of Mr. Tambourine. Well, the thing I love about it the most is that William Shatner takes it so seriously. He's obviously sat there and he's said to himself, you know what? This is my next big acting role. I am going to be so expressive with this stuff, and people are going to believe what I have to say. Yeah. Hey. And it just makes it all the more comical. Sorry, Shats. Where did the CD-ROM come from? I picked this up at a yard sale. No, I didn't. I picked up a bunch of computers a while ago from a guy a few suburbs away. He put an ad up on Gumtree, and and someone alerted me to it. Thank you very much to that person who alerted me to it. That person actually wanted it, but he was away, so he couldn't get it. So, because it was pickup only. So he said, look, have you seen this? And I went, whoa. And I just contacted the guy and I said, yeah, I'll come and grab it. It was 8 computers, I think, for $180 or something like that. Every single one worked. And I think it was 180 or 200. I can't remember. Whatever it was, I was taking a risk because all there was a photo of all these computers from the front. And so I didn't know if they worked or whatever the case was. So I went and I had a look and I said to myself, as long as they've got power supplies in them, so as long as I can go around the back of them and see they've got power supplies in them, or I can see that they've got connectors for the logic boards, I'll grab them, because even if they're just parts, for the price, it'd be good to have just parts. So I went and I grabbed them, and I got a Quadra 700, a Mac 2 CI, a couple of, 8100s, something else, and something else. Oh, a Mac 2. Anyhow, a lot of stuff. I think it was 8 computers. I'd be able to look them up. I can't remember off the top of my head what they all were. But anyhow, 8 different computers, and every single one of them worked, which was just joyful. The only problem was the Mac 2 didn't have a power supply, but apart from that, it was okay. 2CI worked beautifully, and I love the 2CI. Quadra 700. So anyhow, I bought those, got them home, that was all great. The guy said, look, I've got a whole bunch of other stuff. And I said, well, look, what have you got? And he showed me a few things, showed me some stuff in boxes and things like that. And I said, well, look, if you're wanting to sell any of these, or if you're looking for someone, if you want me to help you find someone to sell them to, give us a yell, I'll come and give you a hand. Anyhow, he sent me a message. He said, look, I've got this box of external drives in the garage. And I said, okay, no worries. I grabbed this ages ago, by the way, so I just haven't had a chance to get to it. And I can't remember what I paid. It was too much, but I came back with some tape drives and some magneto-optical drives and some bits of other things, bits and pieces. You know, it wasn't a particularly good haul. But anyhow, within that was this CD-ROM drive. So that's where it came from. That was a long story, wasn't it? Crikey. Breakers Creations. What, you guys want to talk to me? Bruce, send us the Stream Duck link. Now, you guys just need to jump onto Skype. That's how this one works. I'm not using Stream Duck. I need to go here to recording. I go to Window. I go to, hang on. I just need to start a Skype call with you, I think, basically. That's all I need to do. Let me just fire up Skipper. Hello, Skipper. And I need the interview section. Where's that? Where is that? Window. Come on, man. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, we're about to have some guests on the show, so I'm just going to... I'm going to hope they behave. Window, here we go. Window, interview, there it is. It should be here all the time, but it's not. All right, so I've gone to interview on. Oh, copy link, here we go. I do need to send you a link. Here it comes. Here it comes, guys. Yeah, it's not Skype, is it? I'm full of stuff. Right. Yep. Okay. Here it comes, guys. It's in the chat. Okay. There we go. All right. Look in the chat, guys. Look in our group chat, and you will find a link there to join in my thing. So, all right. So we'll wait for them to join, and then we'll have them hop on and say hello. Yeah, 25 piece. Yeah, it was a very, very good deal that I got, especially when you consider that the Mac 2 had a Radius Rocket 68040 accelerator in it, and when we also consider the Quadra 700 worked beautifully and had a display card and a network card in it. So, yeah, so. Okay, guests in green room. Let's jump across to the interview page here. And let's... Hey, look at that. Okay, now hang on. Let me just do some...
Hello.
things. Hello. Okay, I've got to put me on here as well. Oh, shit. Okay. Sorry, I just swore.
Oh.
Demonetized.
Let's see what we do.
Okay. All right. So, for everyone who is not aware, this is Jay from House of Moth. If you have not watched the Macyak show, where have you been? But if you haven't watched it, oh, and there's Dana also from. He's Dana from Dana Does Stuff, also from Macyak. Hello.
I was outside for a second. I come back in, ready to melt down the Xserve because I burned my finger on the heatsink. It got that hot. And he's like, "Hey, we're going to join Bruce on a call." I'm like, "What?" Let me put on some pants. So here we are.
Excellent. And so, tell us about the tribes and tribulations of that Xserve. What sort of problems you've been having?
How much time you got?
28 seconds.
It gets really hot, and the SSD didn't work, and it gets really hot, and then it throttles, and then it gets really, really, really hot, and so now we're going to repaste it.
Okay, do you think it's as simple as paste?
I'm hoping so.
Okay, fair enough.
I have never touched a Northbridge heatsink that actually left burn marks on my finger.
Wow.
So there might be more to it than just paste. We might have to go full liquid cooling.
Oh dear,
Which is otherwise known as throwing it in the lake.
And
I'm
what
about at it by now.
are the thoughts about the SSD? Why doesn't that work?
I don't know. I mean, this is basically the same tech as what's in a 2006 Mac Pro, and these work fine in those. So
I don't think anyone saw that because only half your face is on screen.
Yeah, okay.
Please.
Yeah, oh well. Well. Yeah, the old Xserve,
So
man.
the plan was it's going to come over. We're going to spend an hour, maybe two, setting up an Xserve as a netboot server, and then move on with our life. And it is now 10 o'clock on Saturday, and to be continued tomorrow. So
Yeah, okay, fair enough, fair enough. But, I mean, you guys going to head out and grab a drink and stuff like that? I mean, is that one of
We
the
had
plans?
dinner already.
Okay.
we have a fridge full of Baileys. We'll be all right.
Awesome. Good, 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 good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you have a very different view of drinking to me, but you know that's okay.
Well, I don't consider wine alcohol. So
There would be a few people that might disagree with you, but you know that's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, what
Yeah.
about beer? Do you consider beer alcohol?
beer is alcohol, but it is worse than wine.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, if it's any consolation, I think beer was one of the very first types of alcohol consumed. So I mean, I think it's earned some respect.
Yeah, no, rum or Baileys. And
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm gonna take this board out, repaste it, and see if it stops catching on fire. So
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
leave you. You dropped 40 viewers already since we joined, so I think we better leave.
Well, I say thank you very much for joining. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the chat hopefully. So
You might.
the witty
If
repartee.
you stop ignoring us, we will be in the chat.
Okay then. Thank you for joining. Bye now.
See ya.
Sorry, I cut him off there mid-bye. Sorry about that. Sorry about it. All right, let's get back to this thing here, shall we? Was it nice to have a little bit of a change in the live stream there and see some guests popping in and saying hello? Wasn't that nice? Wasn't that nice? I think so anyway. Right, so I have removed 4 capacitors and we've got all sorts of burn mark, but one thing I have done, I've managed to do it without removing any of these surrounding components. And that is a first in the last 3 of these that I've done. So that's something. Now we've got to clean these up. And there's a lot of blackening going on around here. So we've got these little, you can see there are a few vias around here and they're very dark. So we're going to have to clean those up, which I'm not looking forward to. Let's get some flux, some fresh solder, and we'll see if we can tidy these pads up a bit and get them all ready for some fumes in our face. Fume extraction, very important. Especially if you're going to be doing a lot of this. If you're going to have repeated exposure. No, it is not lead. They're not lead fumes. Lead doesn't turn into fumes at this sort of temp. It just melts. They are fumes of flux and of the fishy gunk that's come out of these capacitors, electrolyte fluid. That's what's smoking. It's not good for you. That's why I have a fume extractor. These are really bad. It's going to take a bit of work. I just keep moving around with the heat and the... God, this thing is hot. It's burning me now. Sorry, this is my heater next to me. I'm just turning it down a little. It's like a little camping heater that I have down here. It runs on LPG gas. And it definitely throws out a fair bit of heat. So I've just got to keep rubbing around here until I can see that these pads are ready to take on solder over the whole thing. Get rid of all the black gunky stuff. One of the problems I do have when I do this is I end up taking off all this mask, and then I end up with the pads being like 3 times the size that they used to be. Yeah, I know, I cut you off mid-buy. Wasn't that terrible? I had my finger on that hang up button, just like trigger finger on there, and just went bang! No buy. But it's terrible, I know. I'm so rude. Very, very rude. It's very, very rude. Right. Let's get some solder wick. Yes, wick. Gut wick, G-O-O-T. No, it's not a misspelling of the word good. It is what it is called, Gut wick. I keep getting these stupid bot emails to, saying, "Hey, we've checked out your website and there's a spelling mistake on there. Would you like to pay us to check out the rest of your website?" And it's like, it's not a spelling mistake, you maggot. Okay. Yes, I get so upset with goodbyes, so I just cut them off instead. Just got to clean and clean and clean. I mean, look at all the black gunk coming off this. I mean, that flux used to be clear, now it's black and awful. Oh, listen to that. House of Moth. Low current from the power supply will cause hotter running CPU. How about that? Have you recapped that power supply? I know I've actually watched Jay recap an Xserve power supply. I know he does it a lot. He does it for other folks. I think he even did a live stream. I think it's like one of the only live streams that Jay from House of Moth ever did was live streaming recapping an Xserve power supply. I think. I could be wrong with that. Yes, friendly Australians can be a little rude from time to time. There's no doubt about that. A little rude. A little rude. See, look at all this gunge under here, under the screen printing and the UV mask here, or the solder mask. Got to get that all cleaned up. I've lost the corner of this here. It's corroded away, or I've cut it or something. It doesn't matter, but it's gone. It's gone. Gone, mate, gone. So I just want to get this to the point where I'm not seeing any more of this dark stuff. That's where it's just leaked out and corroded, because that has the potential to cause ongoing trace rot. So I want that to be nice and clean before we put things on there. This here I may end up having to run some repairs, because as I mentioned at the beginning, the quality of these PCBs aren't too good. And often when I scrape these vias away, I actually scrape away their connection to the actual via. See, look at this one here. That's all corroded away. And so it means that the voltage isn't getting to the other side. Now this is just a big ground. You can tell because it's like 4 pins going through onto the other side. And if we're missing one of them, it's really not gonna, be a massive issue. But issues, unless of course that one goes to a different part of the underside, but I don't think it does. I think they all go to the same bit of copper underneath. Having done 2 of these just recently, I didn't live stream them because I didn't think it was interesting enough. Well, it's probably not, but this time I had the case as well. It makes all the difference having the case. Just checking here. The board looks like a crime scene. Yes, it does indeed. So you've earned yourself a spot on the screen for that one. I like that. It is going to need a little bit of UV mask, isn't it? Afterwards. So it was definitely a bit of a Maciac mishmash today. We had Mike visiting Steve and we've got Dana visiting Jay. Excuse me. We have actually talked about one day all getting together in the same room. Don't ask me how that's going to work. But yeah, I might still have to be on what do you call it, on Skype, because I'm a fair way away. As long as you're not a Murdoch, yeah. Sorry about that one. Sorry about Murdoch, everyone. I'm just saying. I want to apologise on behalf of Australia. Sorry. But we did give you Chris Hemsworth. And, what's it? Robbie, what's her name? The good-looking bride. That's a terrible thing to say. Robbie... Oh, someone will remember. I can't remember her surname. Paul Hogan, yes. Family Guy made a little classic joke about Paul Hogan when they had pretended like Paul Hogan had been on the show, and he said, I don't know why, but I want to see a whole lot more of him and then nothing of him at all. Margot Robbie, that's it. Got it around the wrong way. That's the one. She's one of our finer exports, I think. Tell you a good movie with Margot Robbie in it. Oh, I'm lifting the pad. A good movie with Margot Robbie in it is that one about, was it ice skater that kneecapped Harding? I can't remember. She was in a movie about that. That was a good movie. Okay. Right, now we need to get all of this copper tinned. And in case you're not sure what tinning it means getting solder on it. We're going to have to be careful because this pad is lifting. Tonya Harding, that's what I thought, but I didn't want to say the wrong thing. Kylie Minogue, yes. You're welcome. Oh, you're welcome. Who else? I'm just trying to think now of... Oh, Kate Blanchett. Yeah, she's a good export. Who else? Had some good acting exports come from this country, I must say. Miff Warhurst, yes indeed. Mifunwe. What a nice name. Mifunwe. Miff Warhurst, she's I used to listen to her on the wireless back in the olden days. Used to listen to her on 2JJ on the wireless. And then of course she used to be on that what was that show about the music trivia? I can't remember. We're going to be alienating all the non-Australians talking about these folks. Did we export Miff? I don't think we did. Starbuck Tech, hello, thank you. And yes, thank you. Please do hit the like button if you haven't already. Currently sitting on about 46 views at the moment. Olivia Newton-John, yeah, sorry about that one. What? There we go. I love you. Honestly love you. Yeah, Nick Cave's another good one. He's definitely a good export. Musically, we've had some absolutely fantastic exports. Well, let's face it, come on, man. AC/DC, how about that, then? Jeffrey Rush, yes, he's also a very good actor. And Nicole Kidman, she's good. It's a shame about all the stuff she's done to her face, but she's certainly a very accomplished actress. Face. You know, this is one of these boards where I sort of feel like I need to put it in the cleaner before I recap it. It is just so dirty. Dirty. Rolf Harris, yes indeed. Yes, you guys can keep him. We exported him to England. They can keep him. Right, so these are, I'm just flipped over on the other side of the board here. These are little holes. Sorry, we can probably get rid of this message now. Been there a while, hasn't it? Specs and Specs, yes, that was the show that she was on. Dame Edna Everidge. BMX Bandits, or as we used to call it, BMX Bastards. Okay, let's get some of this solder out of these holes. I have got some serious copper going on here, which is stopping me from being able to get these hot. Come on, man. Okay. Lost a trace on a board. I would you ever place a cap on the bottom of a board? Can't figure out any other way to repair. Lost a trace on. Would you ever place a cap on the bottom of a board? Not really sure I follow what it is that you're putting down there, in terms of what you mean by the bottom. I mean, generally when it comes to me sorting out trace repairs, I do all sorts of interesting and creative things when it happens, in terms of where I put things and all that sort of stuff. I'm just going to put a little bit of wire through here, probably unnecessary, but probably going to do it probably anyway, probably. Nope, not going to fit. Oh, Hugo Weaving. What a fantastic actor Hugo Weaving is. Wow. Really, really good. Those who may not know who Hugo Weaving is, he was the one that played the part of Lord Elrond in Lord of the Rings, and he also played the part of Mr. Smith in The Matrix. Yeah, that was... He is so good. So good! The only place I can get to the contact is the underside of the PCB. Yeah, I mean, look, what you can sometimes do is get a bit of a multimeter and just go for a bit of a poke, a little bit of a wander, and find out whether that one that's underside might actually come out somewhere else on the board as well. Put the multimeter into continuity mode and then just go around and have a poke around there, and you might find another location on the board that beeps where you know you got the same point of contact. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if it works, it works, you know. I mean, you put it where you need to. I'm doing something kind of stupid here. Oh, damn. I will never, ever find that again. I don't think. But I will try, but not now. I just dropped something. I dropped something insanely small, and I'm pretty annoyed. I'm trying to drill a hole here, by the way. I'm using a very, very, very thin drill bit to try and drill a hole. No, there's still too much solder in there. Piffle. That's my thinnest drill bit that I was just using there. The second thinnest drill bit is now on the floor somewhere. At least it's wasn't ferrous metal, so I should be able to pick it up with a magnet. Right. I'm probably going to way too much trouble here. Take the probably out of that statement and you'll be right. Top side of the trace goes to a 30-pin SIM socket. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, you have to just get creative sometimes. I mean, the thing I'm always, whenever I'm doing those sorts of repairs, I mean, the primary thing is to restore the continuity to it. If you can find some way of doing it creatively, go with it. But without actually seeing the board, it's very hard for me to actually offer any suggestions. I'm getting my slightly larger soldering iron tip here that allows me to get a lot more heat onto the board, so it might help me get this solder out. Solder. Okay, how are we going here? Okay. You coming out? You coming out? I'm just gonna. I often like to add solder and then remove it again, because solder likes hanging out with solder, and so you know you just get a big mass of it there. And okay, did I go all the way through? These and other interesting questions will be answered in today's episode of Soldering with Brenkus. Yay, I got through. Yay. I mean, am I just bothering too much? Am I just bothering too much? Just don't like how blackened this is around here. Yeah, we can definitely try that. Adam McGee, you know, sort of running some wire up through some enamel wire up through there. It is one of the things that I have done at times. Oh, the joys of computer repair, eh? How much fun is it? I'm not at all happy about the state of this board. It looks so nice on the outside. I thought this is going to be a quick and easy recap. There we go. So I'm just going to add a little bit of extra soldery doldery here. Okay, so we get that enamel off. I know this looks, it's like, what the hell are you doing? Well, I'm just getting the enamel off and then I'll take the solder off. Away, solder, away. There we go. Back. Get back where I want you. How dare you. Once I've got the cap on there, I will then solder this properly. Just hold it in place for the moment. Come on, man. Anyone been doing anything interesting? I realise that that's a subjective thing to say. Interesting for one person might be boring for another. But interesting in your eyes? No. Got to be careful when you're dropping some things. There's that instinct to like sort of snap your legs closed to try and catch something before it falls on the ground. But you want to be careful doing that sort of thing when you're dropping things like scalpels. Because you're like, you know, the next thing you know, you might just do a little bit of amateur surgery on yourself. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. I don't like using solder paste very much. I just see comments there talking about solder paste. I have used it. I do use it obviously for ball grid array work, BGA work. It's essential if you wanted to reball. I consider it essential if you want to reball chips. there's this video circulating at the moment of someone doing surface mount soldering using solder paste, and they're trying to flog it like it's some sort of magic new thing. And I've had a whole bunch of people actually send me links going, hey man, have you checked this out? You know, people I don't hear from very often just sort of contact me out of the blue and say, hey, look at this video, look at this stuff, man, it's magic. And of course my reaction to that is, well, it's, you know, it's solder paste. And I always keep a supply of it, in the fridge, by the way. Yeah, it rarely behaves in the way they show in that video, I can tell you that for sure. You end up with solder balls all over the place. You watch it in those videos and the solder just sticks to the pad and doesn't go anywhere else. Well, it does that if you have the absolute perfect amount. If you have just a little bit more than you need, then you end up with solder balls flowing all over what you're working on, and that's kind of bad. So, just saying. Oh God, those Q-tips are rubbish. Rubbish. Okay, now I'm going to need to have a little bit of a think about this, because I'm going to need to stick... oh my God, look at that. Yuck. 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 Okay. I'm going to need to put caps on here, and I don't want to accidentally create shorts. So when I put an electrolytic, a tantalum capacitor on here, if the pin hangs over the edge here and potentially touches this little bit of copper, I could create a nasty little short. So I either need to make sure I position the cap so that it's hanging off this side. Here we've got no problem. You know, the only thing would be this little trace here if that got exposed, and that's not terribly exposed. So I could hang it off the side here, or I could put some UV mask on that there. Then over here we've got that one there. We don't want that to make contact with that, because if the pin hangs over there and touches that, we'll create a short. This one here, it's okay, I mean, unless we touch this little area here. And this one, same here, we don't want that to touch that. So this is why, when I do these things... Lane Brown, thank you for joining. What was I chatting to you about the other day? Oh, that's right, you were asking me about microscopes. Lane Brown contacted me the other day and was asking about the microscope and the microscope camera that I use. And of course, one of the things is, and I've had this happen before, is that people often say, hey, you know, what's this microscope like? And I'm sort of like, well, I don't actually know, because I don't use that one. I can certainly recommend the one that I use, but there are so many different price brackets with these microscopes that I know the one that Steve uses, he's very happy with. And I have had one of my viewers buy the budget microscope that I have listed in my products. There's my microscope and then there's the budget one. And one of my viewers did actually buy one of those budget ones and said that the view looking through is spot on. He said it's the same as like watching my live streams in terms of the quality of the image. So that's good. I was pleased to hear that. Right, now we need to get some UV mask on this, and we're going to cure it, and I'm going to cure it with a laser. So let's just get some of this here. I just want to blot out some of these nasty little potential shorts. Got this guy here. And Amscope trinocular with Amscope HDMI camera. Yep. So what I would generally say about these, if you can afford it, get the microscope with the nice big base, the one that I'm using here, which is this sort of slidey base. It's very, very solid. It's bloody heavy. Cost a fortune to get this one brought out here. The shipping was hundreds of dollars. But that's another story. There's no local reseller for these things out here, so I mean I had to actually buy it from the States. So yeah, the nice big heavy base I reckon is a good thing if you can afford it. And then when it comes to the head, I mean, a lot of these heads, there are slight differences between them, and they might be one thing better than the other. But on the whole, they seem to be largely the same. Trinocular essentially just means that it's, well, binocular is 2. Trinocular means it has a third viewport, let's call it. And in theory, I could actually get one of these eyepieces and feed it into that one there as well. But the thing to keep in mind with a trinocular is it's not actually 3 views through the microscope. It's still only 2. There are actually 2 completely separate channels for the light to travel through here. So when I look through this, I'm getting a stereo view. I'm actually getting depth perception as I look through the microscope. The trinocular here, this view is actually just piggybacked down the right-hand view. So there's a, or is it left? I think it's the right. There's a little prism inside there that splits it, and so the camera is actually picking up what I see with my right eye. And interestingly enough, Steve from Mac 84, he bought a microscope a while ago, and he did not realize this until he got the microscope home, that the model he bought had wasn't true trinocular. You could either look through both eyepieces and then flick a mechanical switch and then have one eyepiece and one camera. You couldn't actually have all 3 viewing at the same time. You had the option to either see through, I think it was the right eye, or have the camera see what the right eye should have been seeing. And that's certainly one that I would not recommend. Because you also have to ask yourself, do you want a camera? And camera's great if you want to go and doing live streaming like this, or if you're wanting to record the work you do and stuff like that. But it's not essential. I didn't get a camera straight away when I got this microscope. I had 0 intention of doing live streams. Yeah, I then ended up getting a still camera, quite a good quality still camera, so that I could just take still images of what I was doing. And then eventually I was like, I want to film this stuff. So then I got this camera here. US $30 to $40. Well, I can tell you one thing for sure. That ain't this one. But yeah, that'd be interesting. I should go and have a look at that review. Did I say laser? Pew, pew. Yep, here's my laser. Pew. Oh, geez, got to be careful with this thing. For those who may or may not be aware, I shone this on my camera once, and my camera was never the same. Oh dear. Ended up with little spots on it. Camera clearly does not like having high intensity UV shone at it. As I hit this with this UV light, you will actually see the stuff start to go a little bit matte in finish rather than the glossy wet look. And that's it curing. And this is not the normal laser I use. This is a different one. I have 2. Always good to have spares of things when you're doing repairs. If something breaks down or if you accidentally wreck something, which happens, I do break things a lot. You got a spare there. Is thermal paste on there? I was trying to talk Jay and Dana into live streaming the work they're doing on this Xserve, but Jay's got it in his head now that he doesn't live stream, even though there is evidence that he has done a live stream in the past. So there's nothing mentally, physically, technologically speaking, nothing to prevent him from doing live streams. He has purely chosen not to. Sometimes when I'm doing really large amounts of UV mask, I actually grab the board and I take it out in the sun. Got a bit of sun coming in here at the moment, don't I? Look at this. Crazy. Shining right in my face. In my face. I was thinking one day for a April Fool's joke or something like that, I should do a video explaining to people that thermal paste and solder paste are actually the same thing. Like, remember those people that did those joke videos about the headphone socket on the iPhone 7 that you just had to drill a hole in a particular location and your headphones would work? And some poor sap actually fell for it and drilled a hole in his phone. It's terrible. Taking advantage of people's trusting nature. It's awful. Alright, I think that's dry. Can I just show you the party trick of this little laser? Pew pew! This is the laser that I use. I don't use this one very often, but one of the things I like about this laser, if I get this pointy enough, there we go. I can actually burn the things, yes. See if I can write my name. B R U C E. Wow, it's really hard. But it's there. So, there you go. It's quite small. There's my finger. Okay, so, anyhow. That's enough of that childish behaviour. I think we're ready for new caps to go on here, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. Using a hot air station with UV. You know, it's interesting you say that. I did actually, I did use my hot air station for curing this. What I found was that if it cured too fast, sometimes it went hard, but it didn't stay on the board, and it would lift off the board too easily. So yeah, I don't know if I was doing something wrong, but yeah, I mean, I hear you. I appreciate the recommendation. Right, now let's take some of these other caps off. Let's hope they're not all as horrendous as the others. We've got a little 10 microfarad 16 volt here. Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh, he popped. He popped. He popped, he popped, he popped. And see if I can do this without using a heat shield and not melting anything. Go on. I'm definitely going to need a heat shield here. Come on, stay, you concerted thing. There we go. Don't pop. God, that's gross. Look at that. Yuck. Okay, I'm just gonna, I don't want to melt this. So this here is a, what do you call it, inductor. You can tell that because it's got L written on it. I know it looks like a resistor, but it's not. I'm just going to try and bend this out of the way a bit. There we go, that's enough. Oh, just come off, you stupid thing. Do it. Thank you. You just know that if I wasn't live streaming, I would have been swearing my head off then, don't you? You can just tell. Alright. Oh, God, this is so gross. This is going to take forever. I thought this would be a quick live stream. I thought. I suppose I can always stop it at any time, can't I? Always come back and do a part 2. Is the glue under those? My Mac 2X had little sticky things under the caps. Yes, that's a little contact adhesive they use. They kept that in the Mac manufacturing for quite some time. It's not the case on this one. There's no glue under these, but yes, the 2CX, the 2CI, I think 2FX, I think, even some of the later ones, some of the LCs and that, they all had that. Sometimes it was white, sometimes it was red. And basically the way it would work is those components would be stuck on the board using that adhesive, but without any solder. And then they would put the board through like a solder bath, and the solder would just stick to all the pads and pins. And so it was kind of holding the components on the board until the solder was applied. That's how they used to make them. So, just saying. And actually, the adhesive on those is kind of a pain. Comes off nice and easily with some heat though. So, you know, if you find a few of those little adhesive blobs left on the board, just hit it with a little hot air or even the tip of your soldering iron, they just come off quite easily. Quite easily. Aha! Tom, we've all been there. We have all been there. I'm gonna have pizza for dinner tonight. Yummy. One of the things that regularly comes up in my my Facebook feed, don't ask me why it regularly comes up, but it does regularly come up, is people asking, discussing, fighting about pineapple on pizza. Now, whether you're someone who likes pineapple on pizza or not, surely if you don't like it, does it really matter if other people do? They're not forcing you to eat it. Never really understood that. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no? If you like it, yes. If you don't, no. Pretty simple answer. And it's like they actually want to have some sort of big fight or argument about whether pineapple should be on pizza or not. Stick Vegemite on it if you want. There's a kebab pizza that we have. So here in Australia, we have these things called doner kebabs. And apparently in America, I think they're called shawarma or something like that. Anyhow, you get this great big lump of some sort of unknown meat product that's like a humongous sausage on a spindle that you then heat, and then you carve bits of meat off it. And you put it in some Lebanese bread and, you know, some flatbread, and you add some lettuce, tomato and onion, and you add some sauce and maybe a bit of hummus or something like that, a bit of tabbouleh, and yeah, that's what we call a doner kebab. Anyhow, years ago, it's quite common now, but years ago, for the first time, I saw something that had never been done before, and that was someone made a pizza using the meat that they use in a doner kebab. They would carve that meat off and then they would put it on a pizza. Wow. I mean, it's not good for you, but geez, it's tasty. Oh dear. This is the dull part. Sorry about it, folks. Sorry about it. Sorry about it. God, my wick keeps getting stuck to the board because there's so much copper here. It's just sucking all the heat away. You know, the most important thing to remember when you're working with solder wick, if the wick does get stuck, don't yank it. Just got to stop pulling, go back, apply more heat, and then it'll release. Whoopsie. For the record, I do like pineapple on pizza. Not every pizza, but you know, if I go and get a bunch of pizzas or something, I will generally get one with you know, a bit of ham and pineapple on it. My favourite sort of pizza is just kind of more of a plain one, like a pepperoni pizza, you know, just with tomato sauce, bit of pepperoni, and a cheese, and maybe even a couple of little jalapenos, a couple of jalapeno chilies on there. It's a bit of, I like a little bit of heat in my pizza. I feel like the scalpel blade's starting to get a little bit worn. When the blade starts leaving grooves, it's usually time to get a new one. I'll get a new one. I gotta lose viewers because I like pineapple on pizza. Oh no. Now I'm getting cold. I was hot before. Can I find middle ground with the temperature controls on this thing? Time will tell. Pepperoni, garlic, mushroom. Yep, good combo. I think one of the most important things with pizza is to not go too crazy on the toppings. You know, I mean, if you start putting more and more and more and more different types of toppings on there, the flavors get too busy. One of the most important things I think with the pizza is to have a really, really good quality marinara sauce underneath it. You know, good tomato sauce underneath it, and then everything just works from that. We're doing some more scraping today. You like scraping? I like scraping. God, now I'm hungry. I am currently working on my next video. Hopefully will be released in the not too distant future, maybe in a week, maybe two, we'll see. And I am doing Beginner's Guide to Soldering Part 3. I've done a Part 1 and a Part 2 now. Now, admittedly, there was like 3 years gap between 1 and 2, but I'm trying to rectify that now and keep these soldering guides happening a little bit more regularly. But I'm going to be doing Beginner's Guide to Soldering Part 3, which will be surface mount soldering. I go in and I explain a whole bunch of tips and tricks and things. Guide for surface mount soldering, which is the kind of soldering that I really like doing. And interestingly enough, a lot of people get a little bit frightened of surface mount soldering. They sort of they'll say, "Oh, you know, I'm fine with a little bit of through hole, but oh, that's surface mount. No way, that's scary. That is." I'm trying to dispel that myth. I want to let people know that surface mount soldering is something that can, with a little bit of practice, can be mastered nice and easily. Is it? Oh no, that one didn't have a cap on it. That's why it hasn't got any rot. So that video, as I say, will hopefully be coming out fairly soon. I would have been working on it this weekend if I wasn't doing this, but I hadn't done a live stream in quite some time, and I didn't want people to forget who I was. A lot of this work that I do, the vintage Mac stuff, the repairs and all that, you know, I have a nice loyal following, people that do like to watch these sorts of videos, but it's still a relatively small percentage of my overall subscriber numbers. Most of the subscribers come in from the soldering guides and tutorials and stuff that I do. That looks alright. I think I've got most of it away, so now I'll just get some fresh solder on here. Ooh, that's a little bit yucky. Oh. Capacitor replacement tips and pizza philosophy. There you go. I'm full of it. Full of something. Right, now we need some flux. Get on here to help that solder flow nicely. And then I get some solder, which is important. Someone's fanging around the streets on a motorcycle. They don't seem to be going anywhere, they just seem to be riding around in circles. It's kind of annoying. Okay. Oopsie. Okay. One of the things when I do these live streams is I generally try and do them either on Saturday or Sunday here, which is obviously Friday or Saturday in the US and Canada and whatnot. In the Northern Hemisphere, I should just really say. Well, actually, it's not the Northern Hemisphere, it's the, where is it? I'm just thinking of the line, it's the line from Greenwich Mean Time or whatever, I don't know. Dateline, whatever. International Dateline, is that what it's called? Something like that. Anywho, and what that usually ends up with me doing these live streams around about my lunchtime. So you will find a fairly common thread in my live streams of me saying, I'm hungry. And today is no exception. Discovered something the other day which is really good but also really bad. I discovered that my local liquor store delivers alcohol for quite cheap. That's the good news and the bad news. Not good when you're lazy. You find flux quality varies a lot from different brands. It absolutely does. So, you know, when we're actually talking about flux, there are several different things that you have to keep in mind with it. Because I've tried lots of different fluxes, and the main reason why I've tried lots of different fluxes is because the one that I like, which is this one here, you find links in the description, the Amtech flux, I cannot buy in Australia. I have to import it from the US. That's fine, but it's, you know, I mean, it would be nicer if I could grab one locally. So I have tried a few different brands because there's a electronics place near here. You know, it's a big, you know, that's where I buy my soldering iron tips and stuff like that. And they do sell a variety of different fluxes, and I have tried a few of them. Minus 8 GMT here. We're plus 10. So, yeah, and I've tried lots of different types, and there are a few things. Some of them you wouldn't even necessarily think of, but they are fairly important. There was one particular flux that I tried, and it was opaque. Now this is not entirely transparent, but when I put this down like that, you can see the pins underneath it. Whereas another one that I tried, it was completely and totally opaque, and you'd put it down and I couldn't see underneath it, and I really didn't like that. I found that quite inconvenient. And so that was one thing that kind of ruled that flux out for me. There was another flux that I tried that stank. It really stank. It was just an awful smell. This Amtech stuff actually smells quite pleasant. I'm not saying you should be breathing it in. I've got a fume extractor here, but you know, you do get wafts of the smell, and this stuff really doesn't smell too bad, whereas some I've tried are just rank. They might work really well as flux, but they're really rank. I always go for a no clean flux, even though I do clean it off. I like one that is sold as a no clean, because it means that if it's left on the board, it's not going to slowly cause corrosion or eat through things, that sort of stuff. It is something that can theoretically be left on the board, even if it's just a little bit of residue left behind. You don't want to leave great big clumps like this, because that will trap moisture, and then you will end up getting corrosion underneath that. So yes, I have tried quite a few different types of flux. You want to get one that is generally designed for, in my opinion, I think you should get one, if you're going to be doing surface mount soldering, get one that's designed for rework, for BGA rework or something like that. So, you know, they're a really good quality flux. You want one that's going to hang around on the board and not just burn away immediately as soon as it gets some heat applied to it. Some do that. Some of them actually, you know, your first sign of a soldering iron, and it just burns away, and then your solder's gone, and you've got to reapply it. You want one that's going to hang around on the board a bit better. They make ones for leaded and unleaded solder, so you know, you want to try and make sure you get one that works with the solder that you're going to be using. And another thing is, some of them, when you heat them up or you burn them or whatever, they leave gunk behind. They leave like a black burned residue behind, and that's pretty bad as well. So when I take all of those things into consideration, there are actually a couple that, you know, I've had someone in Australia saying, well, can you recommend one to buy in Australia? And I have. For anyone who is in Australia, I don't mind, no, not that one. I don't mind the IF8300 by Interflux. It's called Interflux. I don't particularly like the Chip Quick one, so sorry Chip Quick, but I don't particularly like it. I have tried another one. This one here, this is, what is it? What are they called? MG Chemicals? MG Chemicals? I don't mind the MG Chemicals flux. That's all right. But yeah, the one that I did quite like was this one here. I might as well use it for a little bit. And this is an Interflux IF8300. So if you are in Australia, it can be purchased from a company called Mectronics. I might chuck the link into the description. But it's not a bad flux. But it does not smell as nice. So just be warned, it does not smell as nice. Yes, Interflux. I'm into flux, man. What are you into? And don't use plumbing flux. It's a very, very good point. Interestingly enough, the plumbing flux will work. If you're talking with flux, talk about flux that you use for brazing or copper, soldering copper and stuff like that. That flux will work, but it will also eat through the metal if you don't clean it off. So you've got to, you're definitely better off using a flux design for electronics. You got Rosen. Hello, I'm Dr. Rosen. Little Fletch joke there. Anyone who's ever seen the movie Fletch with Chevy Chase? Dr. Rosen. This is, I use this stuff. Rosen, flux, rosin. I don't use it. I said I use it. I don't use it. I have it. I don't use it. This stuff's fine. You can use it, but it's not as good as the sorts of fluxes that I use. But it'll do the job. You know. Stay on lid. Any insight as to why syringe flux is expensive? Can it be bought in bulk? So I think the main reason why it's expensive is probably the chemicals that are used in it. My guess is that they're a bit of a mishmash of lots of different chemicals, and I would say that there's probably some costs there. You know, sort of, because you've got all the different things, you know, lots of different things in there, lots of different ingredients. This one, does this tell us what ingredients are in it? Nope, does not. And I imagine there's probably a bit of research and development you're probably paying for as well, because they probably have to. I mean, this one's called NC559. Does that mean it's like the 559th iteration of this solder being invented? Who knows? I'll pretend like it is. You know, going to install a blue SCSI in a Mac 128 tomorrow. I wonder if anyone else has done that. Well, they'll only have done it if they've got some sort of SCSI adapter, because the 128 doesn't actually have SCSI. So I'm assuming that your 120, I am assuming you have some sort of add-on board or something that's giving you SCSI capability. Because if you haven't, you won't be able to connect it up, because there ain't no SCSI port on a 128K. It's got a floppy port, but not a SCSI port. Same can be said for the 512 and the 512KE. Neither of those have SCSI. The very first compact Mac to actually have SCSI built in was the Mac Plus. One of the reasons why I actually really like the Mac Plus. And when you say can it be bought in bulk, by the way, who was that? It was Elemento saying that. Yes, but you probably won't get that much of a discount. The last time I bought some, I bought, I think, 3 of these 30cc syringes. Now that's not super bulk, but that lasts me a good while. And that, yeah, I really didn't get any sort of price break with that quantity. Maybe a couple of dollars cheaper. Or are you talking about buying in a big vat or something like that and putting it in the syringe yourself? I don't, as far as I know, this Amtech one only gets sold in syringes, so I don't know if that's an option. I could smell toast. Someone's cooking toast. Yum. Oops, don't want to paint it there. So once again, I'm just putting this UV mask in these places where I think there is a possibility of creating an accidental short. And we're not allowed to say short anymore, are we? Height challenged. No, in this instance it would be length challenged, wouldn't it? That going to that. We just need to make sure we got that coated there. That going to that. That should be fine. Half a tube of paste? What? This is coming from Jay, the man who is more sparing with thermal paste than anyone I have ever seen. What were you doing with it? Or was it just a really small tube? That's always a possibility. You know, for a board that has so few capacitors, or so few capacitors to be replaced, this sure takes a bloody long time to do. I mean, damn. What did I watch last night? Oh, that's right. I watched the something Bodyguard, Hitman's Bodyguard. Hitman's Bodyguard. It sounds about right, doesn't it? Had never seen it before. Watched it last night. Thermal paste is measured in J units. We used about 20. What the hell? And generally, I tend to measure flux in Rossmans. For those who don't know what that means, what the reference is, it's a reference to Lewis Rossman, who is a YouTube celebrity. Repairs Macs on live stream, and also jabbers a fair bit. Jibber jabber. Talks a fair bit about all sorts of matters and stuff. And he is known for being very generous with his flux usage. Having said that, though, it always looks like a lot more when you're looking at it under the microscope. Okay, well, I think we're ready for the laser. Yep, I think we're good. I think we're good. Right. So, while we're talking about thermal paste, or well, someone in the chat is talking about thermal paste, I have a few different types that I use. I've got this kind of heatsink compound, white stuff. It's gooey, it's disgusting, it's awful. I don't like really using it very much. But this stuff here that I just buy just from my local electronics, I only use this for power supply stuff. So if you've got like a big transistor that's being stuck onto the side of a power supply chassis, or if you're putting two pieces of metal together on a power supply, I use it sort of for power supply stuff. I would never use this on a CPU. If I'm using a CPU, I will generally use... I've got a brand new tube of where did I put it? Where did I put it? Well, it's not here, but anyhow. This stuff here, Arctic Silver. You'll find it on eBay. Arctic Silver. The Arctic. Yeah, the Arctic. And then you can often get by with this stuff as well. This is also silver stuff. Little tiny tube of it that I bought from my local electronics. This is just, I've got it as a backup in case my other stuff runs out. It's like my little emergency stock of heatsink compound. Thermal paste. Oh, yeah, look at that. Shiny. Always keep these sorts of things. I've been vowing that one day I'll go through and do a video of all the goo, all the different types of goo that I keep in stock here. Stuff in tubes and things like that. You know, things like conformal coating, even something as simple as super glue, Celastic, Loctite. You have anaerobic Loctite and aerobic Loctite. I have what's it called? Liquid electrical tape, thermal compound, flux. What else is in here? Grease. Always keep a bit of araldite. Yeah. So and what's other stuff called? Solder paste. There's just so many tubes of goo in this hobby. So if anyone wants to know what any of those things I just prattle on about are, please just jump in and say, you mentioned something in your list before, I've never heard of that. I'm not sure that anyone would say that, but if someone does say that, do feel free to jump in there, and I'm happy to explain anything that, any of the goo that I have. Goo. It's been a little while since I had a...
Smash that like button.
Having said that, I've been very impressed. Everyone's been smashing like crazy. Look at that. I've got, what is it, 46 likes? Pretty happy with that. Liquid trace repair. Yeah, you can get conductive paints in that as well. I have that too. Forgot about that. They are quite useful for things. I don't know where it is. It's up there somewhere. But I do have conductive paint, and that's really handy. You know, actually, you know what the conductive paint's great for? You know, when you get remote controls that have the rubber buttons, you know, and it's just like a sheet of rubber, and they have the underside which presses down onto like a metal pad on a board to activate a switch, and you find them in TV remote controls, all that sort of stuff. That conductive paint is really good. If you've got one of those remotes and the buttons are not really responsive anymore, you take the little rubber thing off and you paint that conductive paint on the back side of the rubber. It just gives those remotes a whole new lease on life. So just saying, it's handy stuff to have. Yeah, don't smash it more than once. Don't smash the like button more than once. We don't want to break it. KY. Sorry. Sorry, I just saw it. Sorry. Sorry. It's a nice suggestion, Adam McGee. I might even put that up on the thing there. Not sure how well it will work, but you know. I'll tell you what, someday if someone comes up with some sort of chemical solution or submerging the plastics or something like that, comes up with some way of stopping the spindler max from having brittle plastic. I mean, imagine if you were able to get hold of one of those computers, take the plastic off, submerge it in some sort of solution, and then it would stop it from being brittle. I mean, how good would that be? I mean, you would just do so well in this line of collecting if you had something that did that. Oh yes, I forgot about all the cleaning stuff as well. I mean, I've got flux remover, and I've got isopropyl alcohol, and then there's some other gunk around here for cleaning. Yeah, just always lots of goo. Oh, Dana Siberia, hello, thank you for joining. I don't know when you snuck into the room, but I welcome you now. Bruce's Gunge Pro, yeah. I've got exposed to lots of gunge. Certainly plenty of gunge on this board. If someone would offer reproduction plastics for the Brittle Max. Yeah, I mean, look, it is happening for some of them. But you're never going to get it for all of them. It's too hard. I mean, if you look at, say, something like an LC630, which has, I don't know, 4 panels of plastic on it, something like that. I mean, the cost in reproducing something like that, it just would not be worth it for a Mac of that level of collectability. Obviously, you've got things like the Mac Effects cases for the SC and the SE30. That's understandable. They're very collectible, you know, that sort of thing. People have done reproduction cases for the Apple IIe or the Apple II, one of the two models. There is talk of them reproducing the plastic bezel that sits underneath the clear plastic on a G3. Because if you've ever had one of those, you know, the clear plastic's quite good, but the opaque plastic that's underneath the clear plastic is very, very brittle. So, you know, I mean, people are getting around to going in and making reproduction pieces of plastic for the really common ones, but it's just, you know, I mean, it's like, look at something like the LC575. I mean, is anyone ever going to go in and completely reproduce the LC575 case? I mean, the costs in doing that, getting it right and everything, just not going to be worth it for the number of people that would spend the money on those things. Probably the most brittle Mac that I have ever come across was, I think, was it 8500, 8100. I don't know. It's one of the ones that's shaped like the Quadra 800 and the Quadra 840. It's the same shape. It has those bezels at the front, and I got it home and I went to open it up, and so it has these little swivelly screws you undo with your fingers at the back. And I undid the swivelly screws, and then you pull the case towards you. And as you pull the case towards you, it sort of separates from the back, and the case lifts off. So anyhow, undid the swivelly screws at the back, grabbed the front of the case, I pulled it towards me, and it just went inside. Things just got yanked and pulled or whatever, as I removed it, and just plastic just rained down inside the thing. It was quite incredible, actually. The thing that really caught me out was I hadn't actually opened one of those sorts of Macs. This was mine, by the way, not a customer's. I hadn't actually opened one of those sorts of Macs since back in the days when they were made. And I just went in there and I just went, yeah, here we go, let's open him up. It was like, oh, wow. This is how I used to open them up in the 90s, but it's not the way you open them up in the noughties. No, where are we now? The 10s. 20s. We're in the 20s. We're in the roaring 20s. Nothing wrong with my brain. Someone said to me the other day, how old are you? And I said, let me get back to you. A 6100 that every time I pick up, another piece manages to break off. Yes, I've got a Quadra 605 like that. Quadra 605 is really good for that. And yep, just touch it and the plastic falls off. It's great. It's great. Right, so let's get some caps onto this. We've taken enough time getting it all prepped for caps. Goodness me, that took a long time. How long have I been going for? 2 hours and 12 minutes. That's how long it's taken me to get this board ready for new caps. Phew. Gosh. By gum. Right, now, do I have any more of these caps left? 3. 3 should be enough. I need to buy some more because I've done so many of these. So, I need a bunch of 100 microfarad, 6.3 volt, I think they are. I will check on my recapping guide. You can find recapping guides on recapamac.com.au for a lot of different computers, and including this CD-ROM drive. And I might even have this already open on the page because I think it's the last thing I recapped. Don't you fall down. It's falling down. I mean, it's not listening to me. Let's just move that out of the way. Yep. And we'll move that out of the way. Okay, so we have 4 100 microfarads, 6.3 volts. Now, what I like to do is I like to use little capacitors for in here, this little space, because they're so crammed in tight that I use slightly smaller footprint capacitors so that I can actually get my soldering iron in there. And I cannot for the life of me remember which way around they go, but I think they face each other. No. That's right, that one is right, but they don't face each other, they go positive that way and that way. So plug that one there and that one there. There we go. And by using these slightly smaller ones, it means I've got a little bit of room inside here. They're still 100 microfarad. They're still 6.3 volts. So they are just a slightly smaller footprint of capacitor. Will there be a smoke test on this? Probably. I suppose when I tried sun brighting on. Okay, yes, okay. So the thing about the Quadra 605, and I've got one that I suspect is probably, the way it's been stored. Apparently, if they're stored in a dry environment, I think they get more cracky. So I've got this one, and it's and it is very, very brittle. But the frustrating thing about the way LC475 and Quadra 605s are made is that everything inside them is held in, not with screws, but with tensioned plastic. So the floppy drive is held in with little plastic tabs holding it in. The power supply is held in with little plastic tabs holding it in. The logic board, plastic tabs. The speaker, the fan, everything is held in with plastic tabs holding it in. So if you decide, oh, I want to pull out that power supply, you've got to bend the tab back and then lift it out. If you want to pull the logic board out, you've got two little tabs on the side. You've got to bend them back and then slide it out. The moment you apply any bend to those tabs, they snap off. So I literally have a Quadra 605 with no tabs on the fan, no tabs on the power supply. No, still got a tab on the power supply. No tabs on the fan, no tabs on the speaker, one tab on the floppy drive, no tabs on the logic board, and having said that, half the back of the thing's cracked away. The computer still works, I don't care. It's still fine for me testing when I do recapping and stuff like that. This looks a lot like a critter's leg. I think it is. It's like a spider's leg or something. Cool. I have mentioned this on some of my live streams before, but my general opinion when it comes to things like retro brighting, I have no real interest in doing it. I don't mind the yellowing. I really don't. As long as the computer works, as long as it starts up, I'm pretty happy. I don't object to other people retro brighting, and I totally understand why people want to do it. People want these things to look like brand new. It's fine. I really don't. I have no criticism for anyone who does it, but for myself, it's just not. It's not the part of the of it that interests me. Now, I'm going to kind of contradict myself a little and tell you that I have a Macintosh GCI case that was stored in a box most of its life and is the most magnificent platinum color still. And I have to say, I do like that. But, I'm not so fussed about the yellowing that I actually would want to go in and do the old retroboarding. So anyhow, that's just my opinion. I'm not criticizing anyone else for the things they like to do with their vintage Macs. As long as people aren't destroying them. It's so funny when you look at something like, for anyone who's not seen Action Retro, you must go and check out Action Retro's channel because he has some wonderful content there. But he has this cursed SE30 that he managed to get lots and lots of airtime out of, which is great. And of course that thing was, wow. That thing was, what's a polite way of saying the state of that SE30 that Sean has in Action Retro? So anyhow, yeah. But if you're a collector and you look at that SE30 that Sean has, that's been painted black and it's had holes cut in it and it's had extra speakers put in it and all this sort of stuff, and you look at it and you kind of go, oh man, what a travesty to do that to an SE or an SE30. I definitely agree, but at the same time, boy oh boy, didn't he get a lot of airtime out of that thing. He got so much good content from that. Even Steve got some content from it because he recapped it. Okay, so I put these little caps down here because we're a little bit tight for space, but I've got plenty of room on the side here, so I'm going to use full-size ones for this. Now, I mentioned before that I was going to try a different flux, so I am a man of my word sometimes when I remember. I am going to try this. This is a different flux that I use from time to time. This is called Interflux IF8300. And I do think this is quite a nice flux. I think it does work quite well as a flux. The only thing I don't particularly like about it is it smells. Michael's Workshop, hello. What time do you call this? Had people out looking for you everywhere. My Vintage Max are best burners. We'll get Jay one day. Don't you worry. We will change his mind one day. He is going to have beige in his basement. He is. I know that sounds like a euphemism, but he is going to be converted to beige. He just spends way too much time with other beigos. And he one day, you know what? He's going to be at a yard sale or something sometime, and he's just going to see a beige Mac, and he's just going to go, you know what? I want that in my collection. And we will then know that work we have done as friends of Jay, our work will be complete. We can walk away happy in the knowledge that we have beiged Jay. So for those who don't know Jay from House of Moth, he is very much a Mac person, but he got on the Mac train a little late. You can't really blame him for that. It's mainly because of his age, but he really only got into the Macs when they started getting colourful, from essentially the blue and white G3s onwards. So as much as we do try and influence him with the beige. He's a very tough customer. Another one I'd like a nice working case on, PowerBook 500s. Yeah, I've got a 540C, and the case is still in really good condition. Now, I don't know how long it's going to stay that way, but I'm very happy about the condition that it currently is. I do like the 540, I have to admit. Great one for playing like Civilization on or something like that. Right, we've got some more caps to put on, and these ones are slightly different, but we need a recapping guide. Oh, I buried it. Buried it. Buried. Here's buried. It's buried. There we go. There, got it. Now, okay. So, I need 3 47 microfarad 16 and 2 10 microfarad 16. I'm going to put the 10s on first, just cause. How come just cause? But why just cause? Okay, so am I going to go little tiny ones? Should I go little tiny ones? Yeah, I think I'll go little tiny ones. I have 2 different sizes of 10 microfarad 16, and I'm going to go with the little tiny ones. I just think it's going to be easier to put these on with slightly less footprint. So we have one that goes higher, ping, and one that goes higher. Yeah, there are problems with brittleness on a lot of laptops, and that's just because of the tension. You know, they have that sort of clutch to hold the screen in position, and now obviously every time you open and close it, you're applying pressure, and a lot of those Macs, just over the years of having that plastic, having that tension against the plastic every time the case gets open and closed, they end up snapping. And we don't like that, do we? No. That's around the wrong way. Once again, this one is using the interflux flux. Just for fun. Just to show people that I can actually use different brands of flux. I don't have to use Amtech. I'm not sponsored by Amtech. God, I wish I was though. It'd save me a motter. Hey Amtech, you want to sponsor me? Frederick Raymer, hello, thank you for joining. I don't think I've said hello to Ori101 either. I know some people tin the pads a little first. Your method looks a lot more effective. Yeah, this is something that I'm going to be covering in my next soldering video, which is going to be on surface mount soldering, and it is one of the two different ways that people do it. One way they do it is they put a blob of solder on here, then they might use a hot air station and they'll position it in place and do it that way. Now that's the way I would do it with these little guys, or these little resistors, or these little capacitors here. That is how I would do those. I would, you know, put a little blob of solder on the pads, and then I would use a hot air and get them sitting in there. And it's the best way to do those. With components of this size and larger, I tend to prefer to put flux on the pad, put some solder on the tip of my iron, and then the flux makes that solder transfer across, and do it like that. I like to do it that way. I feel like I get the best looking joints that way. The other things, of course, with these tantalum capacitors that have this yellowness, if you hit this with a hot air station, that yellow goes brown and it looks unsightly. So I prefer not to hit these with a hot air unless I'm actually like removing them and throwing them away. So, but yeah, as I say, I will be covering that in my next video, which I'm hoping to have out in the next kind of couple of weeks, and that is surface melt soldering. It's probably going to be a two-parter. Part 3 will be a two-parter, 3.1, 3.2. Because there's quite a lot to cover with surface mount soldering, because a lot of the time I solder differently for different components. See, I mean, if all we were soldering on was like these sorts of things with big pins, I would do them all a particular way. But then you have packages like this. We're just going to grab a slightly more modern computer here. We have ones like this. Where are we? Here we go. These sorts here. Where you can see they are those things coming out the side. They're not actually legs. They're not pins coming out. This actually has no real pin. It's just got little tinned surface, and you actually create these little like solder buttresses that join to those pins on that chip. And that I do in a very different way again. So yeah, I will probably, in my surface mount soldering, I will go through a bunch of different components. Now we're on to 347 microfarad 16 volt. As usual, I started with electrolytic. I am replacing them with tantalum. I get lots of people regularly asking me, are you worried about using tantalum because when they blow up short and they can do damage and blah 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 and all that sort of stuff? And my general answer to that is no, I'm not worried, because tantalums are ridiculously reliable, and so I don't worry too much about the this idea of, oh, if they blow up, they're going to blow up short. I mean, as long as you're not, you know, using them outside of their limits, tantalums are very reliable. Okay, so there's a little tantalum, and tantalum is a mineral that is mined from the ground. It is quite rare, and it's one of the reasons why tantalum capacitors can sometimes get expensive. There is apparently around about the same amount of tantalum on this planet as there is uranium. So, you know, not, you know, it's around, but it's not as common as some other metals out there. It also has a ridiculously high melting point. It's like 1,000 and something Celsius or something like that. This is something that I do mention in my live streams quite a lot. So for people who watch regularly and say, holy crap, he's talking about tantalum again, I apologise, but I do know that there are some people that pop on that might be watching for the first time. And so I like to just pass the information along. I should also mention that sometimes when I leave capacitors unattended on my desk for too long, the capacitor fairies come and steal them. But today, these ones are safe. And the sun is shining right in my eyes. Dave, hello, thank you for joining. Children throw tantalums occasionally. Jesus, Michael's Workshop, you have some of the best dad jokes. Bwahahaha. How are we doing? Still sitting with 44 people looking by the looks of it. I've actually got more likes than people today. How about that? That means people have been coming and going, which is fine. Don't expect people to hang around for the full duration. I mean, they can. Oh, yeah, this flux doesn't smell as nice as the normal stuff. I can smell it, gets up my nose. It's good flux, but it smells. I need an update of the Xserve situation. If you're listening, either Dana or Jay, those who might have missed the beginning of the stream, we had a very brief guest spot. Both Jay and Dana popped on. They are working on an Xserve at the moment. I'm pretty sure it's an Intel one, isn't it? I think. And they're having some issues, so they were going to repaste, I think, the North Bridge or the CPU or something like that, to try and get it running at a slightly less than burning temperature. And I haven't heard from them in a while. I don't know what the progress is like. So, oh, here we go. Repasted, but back together, installing 10.6 server now. Excellent. And is it running noticeably cooler? Can you please tell me that, sir? Kind sir. Thank you, sir. Good sir. And you've turned up just in time for me to swap over to a conical tip, Jay. Or that might be Dana, actually. It might be Dana using Jay's account. That's the House of Moth, for people who don't know who I'm referring to. .6 server. Yes, it would have to be an Intel, because G5 stopped at 10.5. 10.6 was the first Intel-only operating system that Apple brought out. 10.6 is... which one is 10.6? Is it Snow Leopard? Yeah, it is, because you had Leopard 10.5, and then you had Snow Leopard. That was a good operating system. Oh, fizz. Having trouble getting the heat that I want here. You can see there's such a big piece of copper here, it's just sucking all the heat away. It sucks, man. Might need to try something a little bit bigger, but thin. Will this fit in here? Nope. You know what I did last time? I used, will this fit in here? Sort of. Yeah, let's try this one. See if I can get enough heat where I want with this. Ouchie, ouchie, ouchie. I mean, I am a big fan of 10.6, but at the same time, there is also that end of an era, you know, goodbye PowerPC. You know what? I'd still be on Snow Leopard if I hadn't been forced to change to other operating systems. I don't think I actually needed solder on this. Plenty of solder here already. Last thing I need is more solder, because it'll make it harder to melt it. Alright, let's see if this little one can do it. Oh, that's doing a reasonable job. Oh yeah, look at that. That got me the heat that I wanted where I wanted it. Nice and shiny. Okay, so that is it. That's the last cap. Bang. Now, of course, I'm going to have to clean this, but we will put it together just to see that it starts up and works. Not sure if I could be bothered dragging a whole computer down here. But there was one thing I still need to look at. If I can remember where I put the thing. I think I put it with that other thing. Just by the thing. Here it is. Right, so I've got to get this board out. This is this little board here. This is the front. I'm going to just change view here. This is a little, that's the front bit with the Caddy thing. And we've got 3 surface mount caps here. Now these don't appear to be in anything like the, oh wow, state of the other ones. So I'm going to just whip this out, and hopefully this will be a quick, easy recap of 3 caps. And then we can say, job done. Not all of these CD300s have this little board on them. I know, because I've pulled apart stacks of them. And this is the one that gives us a headphone socket and a volume control. And there's a little light on it as well. Alright, so let's have a look and see how this looks. Yeah, this is nowhere near as bad, nowhere near as much leakage. It has leaked, you can see all the corrosion. This will need to be cleaned as well. But it doesn't look anywhere near as bad. So let's whip this guy off. Whip it good. And I'm going to start picking up the pace here because, you know, people have been watching this for quite some time now. And I have still got so much work to do today, and it's like 1:30. Gosh. This board is very small, so it wobbles a bit. It's like working on an iPhone board or something. I mean, nowhere near as bad, but you know, if you're using like an iPhone board, or even one of those boards for those new like the MacBook Airs and stuff like that. The modern ones, they have those tiny, weeny little logic boards. It's kind of like that. Okay, that's those 3 off. As I say, thankfully, I mean, we've got leakage, we've definitely got leakage, but we don't have anything like the trace rod on the other board. So I think this will be much, much quicker for me to prep, ready for new caps. Stick some flux down here. I'm still going with the non-Amtech flux here. Look, I melted some of this plastic here before. That was just downright careless of me. That's all right, that won't be seen. No one will know. No one will know. Snow Leopard is to Mac as Windows 7 is to PC. I'm still using Windows 7 on my Windows. Well, I use Parallels, but I think I'm still running Windows 7 there. I'm fairly resistant to updating operating systems. I've got that kind of real don't fix it if it ain't broke kind of attitude. The problem that we have, and this is a problem, it's kind of endemic with software, and that is that you have companies that make software. That is their job. That's what they do. That's how they make money, is making software. Now, save for hardware, I suppose. If people aren't constantly updating and buying new stuff, those companies are going to go broke. Okay, they can make money to start off with. I mean, it's like some of these people that made a huge amount of money when the iPhone started, iPhone came out, because we had this whole new market that got created, this market of games on the phone. And there were people that just became millionaires overnight because they brought out a game, things like, what's the pigs? Birds, Angry Birds. And all of a sudden, everyone's downloading it and they're buying it, and away you go. Now, that's all good. Okay, so you make all that money. But that's it. You make one purchase from them, that's it. I mean, until you actually bring out another version or something better or something different, people will pay that amount once, and then that's it. You don't make any more money. And so the software companies are just obviously continually trying to give us a reason to give them more money. I look at a lot of the software that I use, in particular things like the Adobe suite of software. For the most part, the features that I use came into those packages a decade ago, and stuff they've been adding to them ever since is stuff that I barely even use. So, I mean, what do I need to buy the new software for if the old stuff is doing it for me? And sometimes I might get a new operating system, and that requires I need to update the software as well because the old one doesn't work on the new operating system. Or I might get some new hardware, and the new hardware requires that I have a new operating system, and so I have a new operating system, and then that requires me to get new applications and stuff like that. It's yeah, I mean, that's something that frustrates me. You can't blame these companies for doing what they do, because I mean, once you've handed over that money, it's not a very good kind of ongoing business plan if people only ever buy your thing once. Once you've saturated the market, you never make any more sales. Yes, these don't have anything like the trace rot. The other one, which is nice. This makes life a little bit easier. It means this recapping, this stage of the recapping will be much, much quicker. Okay. Okay, Oz, you're off. Off to the shops now. Stay safe, Oz. I need to go to the shops too, actually. I will do that once I finish my live stream. Ugh. Yes, I mean, one of the things, of course, that we're forced into a lot of the time when it comes to software updates are security updates. We have an ongoing issue with, sort of hackers and malicious software and all this sort of stuff, which is a real shame that that's part of what computers are all about. But it is. And so that ends up forcing us. And I mean, you take the classic example of when SSL certificates changed a few years ago, and then all of a sudden, all of those old computers couldn't get onto the web anymore because they can't resolve the security certificate. And so you just go to load up a page and, no, sorry, can't visit it, bad luck. And that's, well, let's face it, if you've got a computer like that, you can't access the web, that takes a lot of usefulness away in this day and age. For example, I have a computer running 10.5 Leopard, and Safari on 10.5 will not visit those websites. Bad luck. You can only visit insecure websites. You can't visit ones with new security certificates on them, which is the pain. And you can obviously use things like 10.4 Fox, or you can use WebKit to get around that. But I found my tube of Arctic Silver. It's here all along. There it is, Arctic Silver. Arctic. In the Arctic, yeah. God, this flux is giving me a headache. That's a good advertisement for it, isn't it? And yes, I do have my fume extractor on, so don't worry. Oh, here it is. Sorry, I just lost my toothbrush. Yeah, okay, so I'll just bring this one up here. That's Windows 7 support ended. Yeah, I'm going to keep using it though. I don't use it enough to worry about it. So just going to talk about this for a little minute. I have throughout my career regularly needed to use Windows for certain things, but I have pretty much been a Mac person for eternity. First used a Mac in, I don't know, 80s, maybe 85, something like that. I don't know exactly because I was a child and I don't remember dates particularly well. And I've been working professionally with Macs. In other words, them actually being part of my profession since 1989. I started off working in a job where I was using Apples. I was actually doing programming stuff on Apple II computers, but there were Macs there as well. I worked predominantly with the Apples, but a little bit with the Macs. And then my next job after that was very Macky, because it was a pre-press bureau and design studio. And so that place was full of Macs. We had SEs, SE30s, 2CI, 2CX, had 2FX at one stage too. I vaguely remember. And then I remember the day we got a whole bunch of Quadras. Hoo-hoo! What a day that was. Quadra 700, Quadra 800. Ah, man, that was just the best day. And boy, oh boy, were those things fast in comparison to what we'd been using. Fast. Leather. Leather. Where are you, Leather? There he is. Found my laser. First experience was at school. 2E at school. Yep. That was fairly common. When I first started using computers at school, it predated Apple's being in schools. We used to have these computers called Micro B. And so we had a room full of Micro Bs, and I got into them. Now, having said that, a friend of mine, who jumps onto these streams from time to time, he had an Apple II Euro Plus, I think it was, at his house. And I used to go over there, and I loved it. And eventually my parents bought an Apple IIe. Wish I had that still. But, you know, life is full of regrets, and let's face it, where the hell would I have stored it? The thing with the Apple IIe that I really loved was the 80 column card. You know, and so you could go into the word processor and get all those little thin letters on there and have much bigger display. I played a lot of games on that thing, but I don't remember that many of them. I remember, was it Karateka? And I remember Ghostbusters. I remember playing a game called Ghostbusters. And I remember having some sort of animation software on it as well. The box, I had the box, I actually had the box. And it had, I think, had like a metallic woman's head on the front of the box. Like a robot head, female robot head on the front. But I can't remember what it was called. We had a hard drive for our Apple IIe, so that was kind of cool. Had a lot of games. I can never remember where the games came from. Probably from my friend with an Apple, but I can't remember. Alright, we are ready for some caps. Let's do it, folks. This is the last of it. And then we can fire this thing up and see if it works. 100 microfarad, 6.3 volts. 1, 2, 3. That's what they were, isn't it? I pulled them off. I yanked them off here. What are they? 100. 6.3. There we go. 100, 6.3. You can't see that. There you go. How much was the Apple IIe? No idea. Do not remember. I'm gonna revert back to my normal flux now. Oh, that's not good. No, that's all right. God, that could have been bad, but it's fine. It's fine. Everyone, it's fine. I need more shelves in here. I'm just saying. I do have a bit of a plan to get a new shed, a new workshop, and do it up real nice. and have much more space and have a studio in there for doing pre-recorded live streams and pre-recorded videos and things. I have a plan, and the plan would be virtually double the space that I have at the moment, and I would have all of my my workshop-y thing down one side and then my studio down the other side, and then storage everywhere else. That's the plan. It is going to require, it's going to take money, whole lot of spending money, and to do it right. Just a little bit of music reference there. So it's not something that's going to happen in a huge hurry, but one day, oh glorious day. In order for me to have this plan come to fruition with the new workshop, I will need to dismantle this workshop, because there's only one place in this yard that it can go, and it will be in the same location. So this shed will have to come down. The concrete slab that I'm on will need to get dug up, and get rid of all the old concrete. So I'll need to pour a new slab, and then I will erect the new shed, and then I am going to insulate the inside. So I'll put some kind of like I'll put some walls on the inside so that I can put some insulation in there. So I've got to build some frames, put those up, and then I've got to put what do they call that stuff? Sheet. We call it gyprock out here, but it's what, sheet something, and a tantalum shed. Hey, and then yeah, I will. It'll be insulated, so it means it'll be much more resistant to the ridiculous summers that we have here. I know that everyone has been sweltering up in the Northern Hemisphere this summer. So you all know what I'm talking about. But it's very, very common for us to have long runs of days where the temperature is over 40 degrees Celsius. Now, people, if you want to convert that into Fahrenheit, I don't know, it's somewhere between 100 and 110, something like that, I don't know. But you can sometimes just have days and days and days. And it's the hot sort of heat that when you step out the door, burns your face. Okay, so we've got some caps. Great. Right, I'm going to put this thing back together and we're going to test it. Won't that be joyous? I'm going to have to pull it all apart again afterwards to clean it, but, you know, this is what I do for you people. What do you mean by you people? What do you mean by you people? Gypsum board, I don't know. It's something sheet. I can't remember. Drywall, that's the word. That's the word, and we tend to just call it we just call it gyprock, which is a brand name. So I think it's made by CSR. Okay. So I will drywall it all, and then paint it all, and then set up shelving, and then I'll set up, my workbench will be twice the width that this one is now, in theory. So I'll have a lot more working space, and I'll set up some shelves in front of me so I can have equipment and things up there, and yeah, it's going to be awesome. If it ever happens. If it ever happens. Sheetrock, that's the word I was thinking of. Sheetrock. Are you even doing up? You're not, eh? What am I doing wrong? There we go. Okay, then we're going to stick the board in place. This does feel so silly that I'm going to be pulling this all apart again. I'm gonna do it. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. Plasterboard, there we go. But yes, you're right, Gyprock is a brand, but it is how it is referred to often in this part of the world. Often. Not always, but often. So I'm reconnecting up these little plugs, and I'm doing it outside of the camera's view just to piss everyone off. No, that's not the reason I did it. I forgot. Get these little connectors ready for cables to go in. There is a test I should have done that I didn't do, and that is check and make sure, because I had all of those exposed traces that I was painting over, I should have got the multimeter to check that I didn't accidentally create shorts or pants. No, we're not being so careful as that today. Throwing caution to the wind. Who's got wind? What? Feed all these little guys in. Like that. And you push these clips down and they hold them in place. Great. There we go. So then we have the board and we have to do 2 screws up. Which 2 was it? Oh, that's right. I did a little trace repair there. I forgot. I was like, why is that blackened? Why is it blackened? Why? Okay. So, in order for me to remember which screws I need to do up, because I don't need to do all of them up, this goes in that way. Screws down there. So it's these 2 I need to screw up. Do-do. Yes, hoovering. That's an interesting thing when we talk about vacuuming. I know that the English tend to refer to vacuuming as hoovering. Out here it'll be vacuuming, but yes, I do know that there's that. I know that, I think in England it's also a fairly common thing for vans to just get called transits. Even if it's not an actual Ford Transit van. I think that's the case. I could be wrong. I hear things. I hear things. Okay, plonk that on there. Gonna go through this again later on. Not looking forward to that. Now the bit that's really tricky on these, or not, maybe I'm just pretending it's tricky, is making sure that you get this in so that the mechanism still works. Something's got to hook down onto something next to the thing, under the thing, just by the thing and the other thing. Goes around that way, and it's this little guy here. Got to make sure that is hooked in to this mechanism here, otherwise it won't work properly. It'll still read discs, but it doesn't have the nice little openy closey action. Openy closey action. See if I can get this in here. because that needs to be up there like that. Is it going to work? Am I going to be able to do it? Am I? Am I? Am I? Am I? I'm sure there's some sort of special methody way thing to do it, and that I don't know. Will you just get in there, please? I think I've done it. I think I did it right. That'd be a good change. Yeah. Shazbat. What's stopping it? Huh? Frustrating. Yes, frustrating. It must be even more frustrating watching me do it. You'd be like, hey, just get it around, put it under. You're nearly there. You're nearly there. You just got to. Got to check up on the chat. Charles, what time do you call this? We're nearly finished, for goodness sake. Well, 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 well. You'll be pleased to know, you know, I'm saving up all the good stuff for you now. Sorry, everyone else. I'll forgive you today. Just today, though. Okay, now why isn't this going in? Something is really stopping this from going in. Oh! Me sees. It's this stupid cable. That's an interesting one. That has to go, that has to poke down there. Okay, I see now. What do your elven eyes see? This really sucks. I've never had one with this little panel on the front before, clearly, because I've never had so much trouble getting this on. Come on, come on, come on, we are so close now. It's on, it's on. We're not quite there, but because this caddy loaded thing is appearing and it's not meant to be appearing. It's meant to be up here. It's meant to be held up by a thing and it's not holding it up. Can I get it to hook onto that thing retrospectively? I think I did. I think I got it in. Yay! Okay, today was a good day. John! Hello, John. This is John Revel. I was referring to him earlier when I was talking about Apple computers, Apple II computers. I first used an Apple computer at John's house. Okay. I've finished the bezel. It's all good. Everyone can relax now. It's done. Okay, so here we have, it's all reassembled. It's been recapped. It hasn't been cleaned, so I'm going to have to pull it apart again. But it has actually been recapped, so that's something. Now, here's the tricky part. I need to grab the actual thing here, and am I just daring enough to just go and fire it up, or should I have a little sticky beak at the... Where'd that come from? Oh, from the back. That's fair enough. That's all right. Okay. Have a little sticky beak at this power supply and see that it's all okay. You know, make sure I don't accidentally start any fires, perchance. Just looking at how this thing's held on. As far as I can see, it's only held on with 2 screws. So 2 screws, I can do 2 screws. Let's just see if I can get this power supply out, give it a quick little look. If it's too hard, I'm just going to try it anyway, and we'll just hope for the best, you know. Maybe we'll blow a fuse or something like that. It's always exciting when that happens. People love it when things blow up in my workshop. Just disconnect this. Oh, I love it when they have removable plugs and you can take the power supply out. Always makes me so happy. Okay, so we've got one of these stupid little things here. Just move this out of the way if we can, if I've got anywhere to put it. Ah. Oh gosh. Oh my. Oh, Mr. Fahrenheit. Thank you very much. Saved some money from Steve's stream. Steve cleaned up. Was it today or yesterday? I think the stream he did yesterday, he absolutely cleaned up. That was extraordinary. I was like, wowzers. It just started this incredible knock-on effect of everyone just going like, super chat, super chat, super chat, super chat. I'm looking at it going, oh, I was going to stream today. Having said that, he does get often, well, usually he gets a lot more people watching his live streams than me. He has a very, very dedicated following, which he so rightly deserves. I have people that subscribe and then never come to my live streams. Not referring to the good people here right now. This is a piece of cardboard sort of stuff here is insulation, and it's proving to be, oh actually I think it's plastic. It's proving to be a lot harder to remove than I thought it would be. But it has to come out first because I can't get to the screws if it's in. That's going to be a nightmare to get back in. Pulling apart this power supply seems like a really dumb idea now. But I'm being diligent. Can't spell it, but I can do it. Out, damn spot. Get out, thank you. Alright, so now I think with a little bit of luck I can just whip out this power supply and we can have a look. Yeah, it looks perfect. So the sorts of things I'm looking for leakage, I'm looking for bulging, I'm looking for resistors that might be cracked around the edge. And to be honest, this thing is in absolutely friggin' pristine condition. I will of course check the fuse, because often a fuse blown is an indication that there is something else wrong with the power supply. So if the fuse is still intact, I'll be feeling good. Good, good. Feel the hate. Sorry, need a lozenge. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing anything in the way of leakage at all. There's no bulging on these caps. Now that doesn't mean the caps are fine, they could be bad. This one here looks like it's bulging. It's something that happens, it tricks us sometimes. This sort of looks like it's bulging up a little bit, but you'll probably find the cap itself is not bulging. This is a little plastic cover they've got on top. We can always cut this off if we want and have a look. Just cut the little top of this plastic off, and then we can get a little blade under here and we can lift this plastic cover off. Woo! And then there's the actual aluminum part in there, and there's no bulging whatsoever. So those little plastic caps on the top can sometimes confuse us. Having said that, I did come across a cap the other day with a plastic cap on it, and it was bulging to the bejesus, so it had to be replaced. So yeah, As I say, if I was doing this for someone else, I would whip all these caps off and redo it. But for the purposes of this little test, I feel fairly confident that we'll be fine. Okay, let's pop this all back and put it all back together, and then we're going to give it some tricity. I'm going to give it 240 of the finest Australian volts, and we will see if this thing works. I will check the chat. Oh, here we got another one. Tom Barber, thank you very much. I tend not to do the EEP. I suspect there'd probably be some sort of copyright thing with Steve. I don't want to, you know, create some sort of issue with me taking Steve's intellectual property, you know, by saying EEP. I could go quack or something like that. But I could also just say thank you very much. Okay, now have I ended up making this so that I'll never get this back on? This is made by Mitsumi Elecco. I assume that's electrical. Right, let's put that on. How about a Mac style bong? Yeah, well, which one would you do though? Would we do like an early, like a Mac Plus? Boop. Or would we move into more of a, you know, a later style bong? Or the, what were those ones that did that really lovely melodic chime? I can't remember which model. Some lovely chime sounds out there. I do like a computer that chimes. I don't like the idea of just switching it on and going beep or something. Like a chime. Good chime. Nice chime. Right. Well, that was what seemed like a pointless exercise, but we were just being sure. So, time to put them all back together and we'll give it a little bit of a test. Feeling good about it. Feeling good about it. Hope everyone else is feeling good about it, because I'm feeling good about it. Get in there, you silly thing. Okay. Now, what do you suppose I did with the screws? Here they are. Oh, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. Charles, thank you, much appreciated. The tambong, I don't know what the tambong sounds like. I mean, I've probably heard it. Never used a tam before. Never been close to one even. I don't really have any desire to own one, but what? What have I done? I've done something stupid. Oh, fizz. I've oh, the cardboard's meant to go underneath the hole. That's a special kind of stupid, that is. Whoops, I've lost the chat. I accidentally moved it, so I can't see what anyone is saying at the moment. Let me just move this back. Yeah. There we go. I've got 63 likes. I'm very happy with that. Thank you, everyone, for liking. You're missing a foot on there. Darn right I am. I wonder if it's floating around, if it's fallen off today, or if it's been missing forever. I'll have to go back to the beginning of the video and look. 3's enough. Get by with 3 foots. 3 footers. Right. Here's my CD drive. I'll plug him in position. Let's get these plugs connected up. That one goes there. That one goes, I'm pretty sure there. Yep, it does. That one goes there. Actually, let's do this one first. That one goes there. And that one goes there. Right. Now, I am not sure if I can be 100% bothered to drag a computer down here and actually test that this does read discs. But I am going to go and test that the lights come on. I'm going to screw this in at the bottom. I wasn't going to, but I will. It'll just be easier to manage to have that thing fixed in position. And if anyone is sort of like, oh no, I want to see it read a disc, I do apologise, but as I've mentioned many times before, I am very, very short of space down here. By the time I set up a computer and then set up this CD-ROM next to it and all that, I've just got no room here. The new studio, one day, yeah, we'll do it. But for this one, today, this will be a test of little lights only, and I might actually just chuck the Caddy in there to see that it goes in. And I hopefully might even be able to eject it if everything works in my favour. Okay, so here it is. I've connected it up. And I had better do a little bit of Nate, thank you very, very much. Started restoring a Dana file disk drive. I don't even know what a Dana file disk drive is. So I will say congratulations and good on you, but I can't really say much more. So we invested 3 hours of our time and support not to see it tested. You are going to see it tested. It's just a question of how much testing. We are doing this much testing, not this much testing. I knew I was going to cop slack. The hope was that Jay just wasn't listening anymore, but he clearly is. So I knew he was going to give me grief about not doing a full test, because that's what he does. That's what he's there for. Right. Do I have any CDs down here? Probably not. Can I just stick the Caddy in without a CD? I don't see why not. Do you think it'll blow up? All right. Okay, I'm going to connect up some power to this thing. Now, this is an old power supply. Weird things could happen. Fuses could get blown. If the screen suddenly goes black, it's because I've tripped a circuit breaker. But hopefully, there's no reefer caps in here, so we shouldn't have any smoke. All right. Oh, geez, are you home already, Mike? Well done. What the goodness me is this crap, he says. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So, yeah. Right. Are we ready? And I plug in the power. Plugged in. They're plugged into mains power. I am now going to flick the switch. And I am going to do that now. Oh, I've got a green light. There's a green light on the front of the CD, just there. It's illuminated. Now let's see if it will actually grab the Caddy if I put it in there. Are you going to grab the Caddy? It did grab the Caddy. Now the light has gone orange. I expect it to spit it out again because there's, yep, it just spat it out again. Yay! Yippee! So I am going to do a proper test of this a little bit later on. I'm going to clean it, dismantle it, clean it. I've got to clean it. I really need to clean it. I mean, you saw how disgusting it was. I need to clean it, get it all looking pretty. I'm going to connect it up to something. I don't know. What do I connect it up to? Probably connect it up to something that doesn't have a CD drive. Maybe an LC475 or a Quadra 605 or something like that. That could be fun. Yeah. Oh, what about I connect it up to a Quadra 700? That's be nice, don't you reckon? That's probably about the right era. Quadra 700 having one of these connected up, I think. So let me turn this off, get this live wire away from me so that I don't, as they say, do myself a mischief. Let me just jump back to here because I am going to start wrapping things up. It is time for me to put some food in my belly. I would like to thank everyone here for joining. Once I get this all cleaned and tested and working and putting CDs in, I will most probably set this up with my Quadra 700 up on the dining room table. I'll take a photo of it, or I'll probably put it on my Facebook page. So if you're interested, if you haven't already, if you jump onto my Brankus Creations Facebook page and follow or like or whatever it is you have to do, and I will post a pic of, hopefully, assuming of course it works, this reading a CD on my Quadra 700. So big old thank you to everyone who has been watching. Thank you to everyone for keeping the chat alive. If you haven't already, can you please
Smash that like button.
And I do appreciate. I know it's pretty late in sort of some parts of the world now, so so thank you for everyone for persevering. Thanks for sticking around. And this was one of the slowest recaps ever. And I know it wasn't exactly the most interesting device to be recapping, but anyhow, that's the way life goes. So thank you guys. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for all the super chats. Thanks for all the active chat. Thanks for all the questions. You know, it's been really good fun. I've really enjoyed myself today. It's been a great one. Thank you for keeping me company. And I will find the finish button here. Actually, I know this. I've got an end stream button here now. I've forgotten about that. So thank you, everyone. And I will see you all at the next one, hopefully. Bye now.